How's it going, everybody? This is the end of all things EU playoffs. I am CT Hurix, and with me is Sideshow Gaming. We are in the grand finals today. Of course, this is going to be up against Movistar Riders and eUnited. Sideshow. How you doing, man?
I'm doing very well. I am hyped by the games that we saw yesterday. Those were two of the sickest, best of whatever games, just the best series that I've seen in European Overwatch for ages and ages. And then we had some monster games over in the North American tournament a couple of hours later. It's just been a phenomenal double tournament the whole way through.
Yeah, so I've been really excited about this. Let's take a quick look at the standings real quick before we jump into everything. Just kind of talk about what's been going on here. And I kind of want to start just like at the top of things and just run our way down because it's been absolutely crazy all the way through this playoff series. Obviously, we saw some huge upsets happening before. I mean, Vivi's Adventure certainly is one of the teams that I kind of expected to go a little bit further, but Movistar Riders just starting things off very solidly. Just to kind of open things up, sent Vivi's Adventure all the way down. Then Vivi's Adventure was eliminated there by Singularity. But I mean, Dignitas making huge runs on the bottom side of the bracket. eUnited getting almost upset by Dignitas as well as Misfits dropped out. I mean, what do you make of some of the stuff that we saw so far in this bracket before the grand finals, which is going to be just as good of a game?
Yeah, it's been kind of crazy. Both of the teams that we see in our grand finals, Movistar Riders and eUnited, finished second place in their groups, so they weren't really the favourites coming into it. You had NiP at the top of Group 1, who kind of slammed eUnited when they played head-to-head, and then Misfits beat Movistar Riders, albeit slightly more of a close game over in Group 2. But when it came to the playoffs, both of these teams really just came out. They were on the opposite side of the brackets, obviously, because the two groups get matched up against each other, and they just wiped the floor with the two top-seeded teams, 2-0s in both of these upper bracket semi-finals, as eUnited kind of crushed Misfits in a pretty surprising game, and Movistar Riders came out with a clutch over NIP as well in the upper bracket. So both of those guys got sent out of the lower bracket, and Misfits just plowed through them both, just destroyed them both out of the series, and then almost upset eUnited in that final game, which was just came down to the final stage of Nepal in the final map of the best of 5. It could not have been closer between Dignitas and eUnited, but eUnited just slowly seemed to get better throughout the series. Just Cruz and Valitaja playing out of their minds towards the end of it, and they clutched it.
So looking at the again, sticking to the EU side of things for right now, because I do want to just kind of touch base on NA just a little bit for a couple of seconds before we jump back into it. Looking at this particular series here that we got on our hands, obviously Movistar Riders beat out eUnited yesterday 3-0. But eUnited has definitely been, I think, emboldened by that a little bit. I think they're definitely on fire, trying to make a return here. They had a tough series yesterday against Dignitas as well. I mean, what do you make of this grand final? What do you think eUnited's chances are to battle back and making a couple of adjustments and adapt to some of the things that they've been going up against, where Movistar Riders with that triple DPS comp has been, I mean, quite strong?
They have been very strong, and they look like they're the best team to play triple DPS v triple DPS, because the upper bracket final that we saw, Riders against eUnited, where it was the 3-0 to Riders, it doesn't really tell the full story, it being the 3-0, because those were some incredibly close games. The first map was Lijiang, then we went over to Route 66, and then finished it out in Nepal, and we played 2 King of the Hill maps within that, and both of these teams were so evenly matched in the fights that they were taking and the ways that they were approaching things. Both teams really trying to minimize their own weaknesses. It was difficult for each team to make plays. They've got really low health pools when they play with the triple DPS composition, and a huge damage output, obviously. And one step out of line means that a player is shredded, just deleted, sent to the Shadow Realm, and then everybody else seems to follow suit. So both of these teams excellent at being able to capitalize on each other's weaknesses, and it seemed in that series at least that Movistar Riders were making less and played a very clean and disciplined reactive triple DPS strategy, which was interesting, not something that we've seen that much of. So I think eUnited have kind of got to pull out stuff that they were showing in the Dignitas game, where they don't try and play it too cerebrally. They just go monster mode and they take the fight to Movistar Riders anyway, but they end up skilling it based on their prowess on Cruz's Genji and Valitaja's Tracer and Unfixed whatever it happens to be playing on.
Yesterday we saw a lot of I guess, changed from eUnited. I mean, typically in the past, we've seen a lot of aggression. We've seen them diving in. We've seen them making a lot of plays with that front three going forward with Valutaja as well as Cruz and Shark as well. But what do you make of the fact that yesterday we saw them slow down their pace quite a lot actually against Dignitas? Do you think that they're going to be doing the same thing? Do you think that's something that they're doing proactively, that they're trying to do? Or do you think that that's something that's kind of happened reactively as they're trying to slow down their own pace and maybe not make as many mistakes? And do you think that could potentially become a problem for them up against Movistar Riders, who obviously can play at a fast pace?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether they're going to do the same thing at all against Movistar Riders as we saw against Dignitas, because in a lot of situations, actually, on maps that perhaps you wouldn't expect the same kind of thing, particularly King's Row springs to mind, they were playing much, I say slower styles, essentially just more snowbally compositions with the tanks, and they have the really huge ultimates that they can use to push forwards through the payload areas. And they were doing the same thing on defense, whereas you normally see more triple DPS coming out of them, even on the defense of the streets phase and stuff like that. They normally very much stick to their triple DPS with Sharik on Winston. But certainly they were trying that to a much larger extent when they played against Dignitas. I'm not sure whether they're going to pull the same thing out against Riders, though, because to be fair, they didn't even particularly try it when they were playing in the upper bracket final. But I get the feeling that they didn't want to try it because they respect Movistar's play on the triple DPS to the extent where they don't think they could really play tanks into it. eUnited, not a team that plays tanks that often. Their coordination isn't as strong as when they play the dive compositions. It's certainly something that we could see them pull out on specific maps. I don't think we'll see it on the King of the Hill maps, for example, where I actually expect the King of the Hill maps to be some of the most pivotal in this series. Because yesterday, Movistar Riders took them both. I don't think eUnited will be looking for that kind of swing, because a two-map swing one way can be enough to decide a best-of-5 series.
So looking at this first map, we already know that it is going to be Dorado up first. We don't know which side, obviously. And at the moment, going into Dorado, what kind of things can we expect here? I mean, obviously, at any point we could see Swoosh, of course, on a Pharaoh. We could see eUnited trying to pull one out themselves with probably unfixed. I assume Cruz is going to want to be playing Cruz, his Cruz style Genji on that one, so they'll probably put unfixed on Pharah if they pull it out. But what other things can we probably expect, even if a Pharah at all, going into Dorado here for this first map?
Yeah, Dorado was the first map yesterday in the lower bracket final when they played against Dignitas, and it was the map that they actually crushed the hardest. They looked really comfortable on Dignitas. To be fair, on Dorado, sorry. Dignitas, to be fair to them, didn't look that comfortable themselves. They weren't even able to capture the first checkpoint, the fountain. And eUnited held them with quite an aggressive defense when they were in that position. eUnited's attack wasn't anything to really write home about, but they still managed to push it a reasonable distance, got it to the third checkpoint almost, and just around that bend in the final home stretch. So I think they were relying in the first point pretty heavily on unfixed on Pharah, and that was something that Dignitas couldn't really deal with at all. Riders have quite a number of options. That Logix was going off in their last series on Tracer, and Finzi has also been a hugely impactful player when he was playing that Soldier 76 or Pharah role for them. I think they will have more tools, and having seen Dorado played yesterday from eUnited, they'll have more of an idea of what they want to do in that map. But if you look on paper, it should be eUnited favored.
So I have to agree. I mean, eUnited, in my opinion, should be favored as well, but Movistar Riders is just looking so strong. I mean, yesterday, a big reason, I think, why they were able to do so well. I mean, not only, like you said, with Logix popping off, but even with Finzi as well. He was basically shutting down almost single-handedly Valutaja with that Helix rocket, very consistently landing that before Valutaja actually was able to even recall, or sometimes even taking advantage of the fact that Valutaja would recall early and then still be aggressive. So I'm thinking today we're going to be seeing Valutaja, when he does actually pull that tracer out, which I think will still be quite often, if not every single map, that we're going to be seeing him playing a little bit more passively against Finzi, not as aggressive because he doesn't want to get shut down. We saw him a couple times just in the beginning stages of each fight getting shut down quite early, again, by that Helix rocket, that burst damage that comes out, and of course Logic's coming over to help him as well. But we are very close to being underway here, and again, this first map is going to be Dorado, and it is, of course, going to be eUnited versus Movistar Riders, and we do have Movistar Riders on defense first. So eUnited going to be making their attack. Do you expect that we're going to be seeing that dive versus dive composition going into this first one?
I'm not sure, actually. Dorado, the first checkpoint on defense, doesn't seem to lend itself too much to the dive composition, the triple DPS as a defensive position. If you hold too far forwards on Dorado, you tend to get taken out and then can't really defend that archway, which is the pivotal point of the first checkpoint. So we might see a couple more tanks. I'm not sure how they're going to play this one, because Movistar and eUnited, the previous series that we saw, was very much triple DPS v triple DPS. I can't even remember whether anyone switched across the board the entire series. I think there were only some minor adjustments at times, but in general they stuck to it, and Movistar outplayed eUnited. But I cannot see this grand final going 3-0 the way of Movistar Riders again. I just don't think eUnited are going to allow it to happen. They've got a better idea of which maps to take them to. I think they've got a better idea of how to play the matchup, having lost it yesterday and then beaten Dignitas, and they just looked better in those final games as well.
So we're going to be jumping into the game here. Again, Movistar Riders on the defensive side up against eUnited to start things off. And jumping into game here. Now, yesterday, the maps that we saw this on were Lijiang Tower, Route 66, and Nepal. And Movistar Riders, of course, taking all 3 of those maps. Now, what kind of maps do you think we're going to be seeing? Obviously, Dorado up first. But, you know, going into this next one, certainly, I mean, Movistar Riders looked pretty solid on Nepal, I would say. So if Movistar Riders wants to pull that map out, I think they have a pretty good shot. But what other maps do you kind of expect to be pulled out? Maybe a King's Row, or do you think that will actually go to the wayside yet again here?
King's Row has definitely been a powerful map for the guys over on eUnited.
But they did lose yesterday to Dignitas. So.
Yeah, they did. They did lose yesterday. It was it was fairly unexpected, but they dropped the map. I think that if Movistar start losing, they'll take us over to the Control and see if they can win over there. I think Lijiang or Nepal, they probably have the advantage. Nepal, they looked excellent on, and eUnited were kind of stumbling when they played that other series. And Lijiang, it just is such a good triple DPS map. And also Movistar have a really good idea of how to play that very reactively. So I think they seem like they're a pretty good control team. So I expect to see them going over to that. I think the Route 66, the King's Row kind of domain is where we'll see the payload portions, perhaps, is where we'll see them. And they are going to be defending with a very aggressive triple DPS composition. So they're going full commitment to this.
And we do see Swoosh actually on the Genji. Unfixed going over to that Pharah, as we talked about as well. Cruz, of course, going to be on the Genji, and if they do want to swap that Pharah off, they will go for that Soldier, more than likely, if it is not working. But it'll be up to Fenzi to see if they do that. But look at this aggressive defensive style already starting off here, Sideshow. They already find the kill on the Morte, slowing down things. A nice sleep dart onto Velotage is going to find that kill. And again, Fenzi, that Helix rocket coming through the kill feed, man. I mean, granted, this time around, it's not just him. He managed to get that sleep dart to set things up, but this defense from Movistar Riders out of nowhere is so insane here. Already getting a couple of kills and shutting these guys down on the payload already.
Yeah, they've got really good position. They've got the high ground that eUnited have to battle into. It's really dangerous for their supports to be sat on the low ground in this kind of situation, but they're making some progress with the payload as they cause a bit of a distraction and push it forwards. And it'll be difficult for them to get a complete lockout here, but a couple of team fights, a lot of stalling. That's what they're going for. Unfixed forward. Colste's the first to die as Cruz is making sure to spread his damage onto everybody, pressuring Finzi out of the situation as well. Unfixed falls though up top. They're getting a lot of distance with this payload, and here's the dangerous part, because if they overcommit to a fight here, they'll have lost the arch.
But Logic's still in the backline here, does have that pulse bomb ready, looking for that shot, going for the stick, not going to find anything. Cruz actually going to be pulling out the Nano Blade, or sorry, the Dragon Blade, and then he's going to be looking around, finds 3 kills. Logic still finding frags somehow within this fight, and it should be eUnited pulling things through. 2.5 minutes now on the time bank, and I don't think there's going to be much of a contest here, as we do see Unfixed going forward alongside Cruz, and they should be moving this payload, but we are going to be seeing Movistar Riders try to jump in on this one. I'm not sure if they're going to make it. They do, in fact, make it as Fancy jumps in, and the Dragon Blade coming out from Swish. He gets shut down almost immediately. Primal Rage coming out as well from Movistar Riders just to try to secure things, and I don't know if they have the firepower to actually get this one secured in their favor, as Colsey getting very low. eUnited looking to close this one out, and it's just Logic's on the point. He gets taken out by Cruz, and that's going to be eUnited securing things in their favor as we see Unfixed with the barrage ready, pushing forward after that first checkpoint.
What an incredibly clutch pulse bomb coming out of Valutage. Sticks it onto the Nano Blade Genji of Swoosh and also picks up another kill as well. It's fantastic stuff for them, and they lock out the first checkpoint almost immediately. 4 minutes to take checkpoint 2. And that's my issue with playing really aggressively on Dorado, is that there's not really a natural defender's disadvantage. You've got the high ground, but you're so spread out on the first point if you go super aggressive, and then you lose Arch, which is super defensible. They've dropped down to the cart at the moment. Neptuno using his sound barrier, replied from Rubicon as well. Another stick though, but this time from Logix onto Morte. Valutage replies with his own though. Another one onto Swoosh, taking him out of the fight completely. Finzy's got his tactical visor, but they're still just pushing the cart forwards here. And a little regroup and Spawner's advantage should see eUnited in a decent position still.
And we do see Finzy throwing out that Helix Rocket a little bit too early. Might have been able to get that shutdown after the recall. And again, this is the guy that's been able to deal with Valutage pretty consistently so far, and looking to try to do that yet again. And so far, a pretty decent defense actually from Movistar Riders. I mean, they've had some consistent damage going out. They've been able to find these picks. 3 minutes remain here, and really they only need, you know, a couple more fights to really set a good pace defensively. But they've been all over the place. Kolsty coming off of that respawn, not going to be able to get into that next fight, and it's basically up to Logix here to try to make some plays. But Valutage going to be able to shut him down, and Neptuno on the point by himself, going to be contesting that Winston and actually doing quite well in that fight so far. Gonna be pushing him off. Look at this, Neptuno in a little bit of a duel here. Gonna be able to push back, but is gonna be taken out by Valutage, who does finally slide over. And now Logix getting into a 1v1 Tracers going at each other. And that's not gonna amount to anything quite yet, as Finzy in a great position here on the high ground, trying to take out Morte as well. And they back eUnited up. And that's actually pretty crazy that they were able to do that, as they were very disjointed on their defense, just coming in from respawn and finally able to make that hold.
Valutage has been going off this whole game and nobody shut him down quite yet. They need to apply some more resources, I think, into this one. Swoosh uses his Dragon Blade and again shut down immediately. Rubicon actually getting the credit for that with a nice little headshot to take him out. They're building up their ultimates. Logix trying his best to put pressure onto everybody as Kolsty comes in with his Primal Rage, doing a little bit of stalling as well. But again, eUnited just kind of baiting them onto the cart, getting a couple more kills. Cruz and Morte have fallen though, and it's difficult to push this cart further when you're underneath the archway and all of the defenders are set up there. But they're making progress. There's a lot of time being burnt off here though.
We haven't really seen an incredibly strong Dragon Blade quite yet. I mean, both times Swoosh has pulled his out, he's been shut down. We just saw Cruz shut down as well. I mean, he managed to get a nice little bit of headway on their first Dragon Blade that they pulled out to secure that first point. But I mean, those Dragon Blades have definitely been shut down a bit. We do see Finzy coming through on the defensive side, pulled back here, and the Pulse Bomb coming out, going to be reducing him pretty low there, going to need some healing, and he actually does take out Shark. Both Tac Visors coming around as Finzy pulling to the back line, pushing into that Transcendence. That's going to go down, and he's looking for some kills here. It does actually land a nice Helix Rocket to put in a lot of damage on the back end, but it is going to be healed up pretty quickly and pretty efficiently. 60 seconds remain. That's going to be eUnited pushing through. They finally wipe things up here, Sideshow.
Rubicon's doing so much damage as well. It does look great here for eUnited, because when they were playing previously against Movistar Riders in that upper bracket final, individual players looked like they were having a little bit of struggle in the matchups, the head-to-heads. But so far, eUnited looking good. It's been a solid defense in terms of whittling time off the point. You can't really expect them to get a lockout on any of these stages using the composition that they have. And it's been slow but steady progress. But here's the crunch time, because it's difficult at the best of times to be able to cap in this power plant.
And we did see a little bit of a 1v1 happening, but Dante going to be able to shut that one down as Valutage trying to make his exit. And it's going to be Movistar Riders trying to battle into a 3v5 scenario here. Neptuno on the point by himself, trying to make some plays. Unfix going to be able to find that kill. And he is going to be battling Swoosh now, who's in a little bit of danger and actually does get taken out. And it's going to be eUnited pushing through once again here under the bridge. And if they win this next fight, that will be it. They will secure this. But overall,
they've got good ultimates as well.
There's the sound barrier coming out.
Sound barrier used. They've got the Dragon Blade as well coming in from Cruz. He's pushing them back in the back line as well, but Swoosh is going to reply. Oh, Cruz gets the better end of him just at the end. A couple of players have fallen. Unfixed, I think, is the player to watch as well for any potential clutch. He's just hiding around the corner at the moment. He needs to build this up as well. Finzy's taking down Rubicon. He's on 94% Eurex.
Fenzi just jumped over the wall to get that flanking kill, and man, if he would have landed that Helix rocket, that would have been insane. Unfixed, pulling out attack visor of his own, though, as he was able to dodge that Helix rocket, looking for the kill on Colsty, and we do see the defender spawning in. Unfixed gonna be dealt with. Logic's coming through huge right now, pushing Valutaja off the point along with Colsty, and he's very low, forced to recall back, not gonna be able to follow through with that kill, but Valutaja recalling back himself is gonna be picked off, and that's gonna be more time off the clock, as they're gonna have to wait for him to blink his way back into that fight. And Neptuno holding onto that sound barrier here on the defensive side is going to be huge, and we'll have to see if maybe one of these tracers can make some huge picks, because that could very well decide the ending of this attack here. And Logic's taken down very low to start things off.
Really clutch there coming out from Movistar Riders. They managed to block the card and take out all of the ultimates. This is almost impossible, I think, for eUnited to be able to complete this, but they got so close that they've already set a really good time for themselves. Movistar Riders just mopping it up at the end here, using their ultimates. They've actually taken a biotic grenade to the face, but there's nobody left alive to capitalize on it. That's going to be them locking it out, but that's a reasonably good time pace here, Ix.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, honestly, I really do feel like Movistar Riders should be able to take this one. I mean, that was a solid defense, I think. I mean, certainly eUnited did go a little bit further than it looked like they were going to go initially. I mean, they were struggling on that first point a little bit, where we saw Movistar Riders just holding them inside of that spawn, being very aggressive with their defense to start things off. But just peeling time away really kind of worked for them in the end, where they had a nice bit of execution in that last fight. Were able to get that sticky bomb off and get some damage out, take out Shark pretty early on, and then shutting out Valutaja as well. That was huge for them. But now on the defensive side, we will see Unfixed pulling out that Pharah himself, yet again for this first point, and he's gonna I don't think he's going to be going into a Pharah, obviously, with Colsty more than likely going over to that Winston, and I think we're going to be seeing the same composition from Movistar Riders that we actually saw on the attack as well, but we'll have to see if they want to switch things up at all. I don't think that they will. I mean, what do you expect here? Do you think same comp here from Movistar Riders?
Yeah, probably. I think they're just going to roll with the same thing. I think the overall picture here, though, is actually incredibly positive for eUnited. I think they're the ones that have set themselves a brilliant pace there. It's very easy to take more time off the clock in this first stage than they did. They pretty much won it within a couple of fights. They still had 4 minutes when they took the fountain. So I think if they're able to just take a little more time off the clock on the first and then have a reasonable defensive second, then Movistar Riders are going to be in the position where they really don't have that much time to be able to defend the final stretch. And if you look at how much distance they actually managed to take, 82.69 meters from eUnited is basically captured anyway. So Movistar Riders are going to have to complete the map on a very defense-oriented final stretch there on Dorado. So I think it's very feasible here that eUnited come away with the win.
But we will see eUnited holding back, as we typically see them do. They're just not as aggressive as we see Movistar Riders. So what this could basically mean here is, I mean, if they lose the first fight, it'll be a struggle for them to get back in. So it's basically relying on the fact that they're going to get the first fight and be in a better position to try to take advantage of that. And already we're seeing Colsty going forward a little bit. And again, Unfixed in the sky right now. And not with that Mercy. They're going for that dive setup that we see them going more often than not. And it's going to be Fenzi actually jumping into that top bridge area and just sending in damage from the window, and again trying to take down Valutaja a little bit as Logic's looking for an opening, and Neptuno almost taken out there by Unfixed, and Unfixed is definitely serving up a lot of damage here with these rockets, already jumping in himself, and they already take 2 kills here. Shark going to be taking out Swish, and Logic's returning fire a little bit, but they are definitely going to be backed off as Unfixed yet again coming through with these rockets, should be able to take Dante out, sending him off that high side as well, and they're losing high ground. It's eUnited backing things off here on the defense.
Unfixed is so good at playing around the geometry of the buildings around this arch to the point where Finzi can't find an angle on him whatsoever. If he goes into this window, then Unfixed is just hopping around over and above him. Swoosh is going to try and see if he can get the pick now. He's got him down to half health. Unfixed will need some heals, but he's got the barrage now as well. If he can continue just putting in consistent damage with his rockets though. Oh, but Finzi takes him out as Unfixed goes uncharacteristically aggressive. And now the rest of his team are in a sticky position.
And we do see Fenzi taking out Valutaja as well. Morte going to be coming through to try to contest the point. Is going to be taken out by Fenzi as well, as Swoosh coming in, finding that kill onto Rubicon. That's both supports out. Man, that's actually crazy.
As you said, as you said, they lose that first fight, essentially. They lose one fight, one team fight, and now they've set pretty much the same time. I was actually hoping for much more from eUnited there. I think Unfix made a bit of a mistake by going in, trying to challenge Finzi in the high ground as well. That was, he was getting much more impact out of his Pharah pick when he was playing more defensively and waiting for the rest of Movistar to commit. But now they've got to set up a good block here on the second stage, otherwise they're in very much difficult situations.
Logic's making a huge play. I actually really like that trade that they just made. Logic's for Shark. That's huge because now they don't have that Winston. Logic should be able to get back incredibly quick. And now they're going to have basically no barrier at all. And Colsty should be able to just jump in. But they're unfixed, just murdering Swoosh. Valitaja dropping a pulse bomb of his own onto Colsty, but not going to get the stick nor the kill with it. And now it's going to be Movistar Riders trying to battle into this one as we do see Shark coming back in, and it's going to be the Primal Rage from Colsty, sending everyone flying, and Unfixed trying to get back over his team to try to get some heals. Actually does secure some heals as Rubicon coming through big in that high ground, shutting things down a little bit, and now the Tac Visor coming out as well from Finzi. And look at that, Rubicon making a clutch sleep as Cruz now, with that kill on Finzi, is going to come back up to the top stage here, and they're going to get into a little bit of a duel, but Swoosh backing off here. I think Movistar Riders are slowing down a little bit. Now, that's actually not the case at all. Colsty jumping right in, and they are going to be able to find that kill, I think, on Colsty, but Rubicon kind of in a bad position. Another nice sleep coming in from Rubicon, and this guy is on fire right now, not only saving himself, but also helping his team find necessary picks on the defensive side, and they do as well. Nano boost Cruz here, and the Transcendence comes out, and I don't like this at all from Movistar Riders. I think they should have just let that trade happen, give up the Nano Visor, but they do wind up getting that kill. Finzi coming through, and we do see Unfixed with no HP at all. Logic shutting down the Tactical Visor again here, and this is just a bloodbath here, Sideshow.
Oh, it is. It seems like one team's starting to get the advantage, and then an ultimate gets shut down so clinically, and eventually here it is going to be eUnited routing them. But Movistar Riders stayed in that and had multiple situations where the fight could have gone their way and it could have pushed underneath the arch. But this is perhaps the most defensible position for this second checkpoint, the part where Movistar Riders really have to push underneath with the payload, and everybody's going to be positioned up here on this ledge. But Cruz and Unfixed are the people to deal with, and they've both, or rather Unfixed and Rubicon both had to use their ultimates previously in the fight, so a lot of pressure now on Cruz to deliver with his Dragon Blade in this next fight.
Yeah, both spawns essentially equidistant, so as picks kind of trade off and we go 1-for-1 in some of these fights, I mean, it's not really going to give any team an advantage. And again, the defense with that, obviously that a little bit of advantage. Cruz pulling out the Dragon Blade first, going to be able to take out Finzi. Colsty coming back over to take him out, and it's now a little bit of a trade once again here. Colsty, again, finding another kill. Primal Rage forced out here as he finds yet another, and he is finding kill after kill. Now looking for the kill onto Valitaja, and they back him off the point. They're pushing that payload forward, and it's under the bridge now, and we do see the defense coming in here, and it's going to be Unfixed, getting into position on the high ground, trying to send Colsty back, and Swoosh with that Dragon Blade ready to be pulled out. I imagine he's going to want to take it out pretty soon here, Sideshow, and it's looking like he is going to. He's already looking for Morte. Sound Barrier coming out. He's still going to find that kill, looking for Colsty now to come through and support him a little bit, and that's not going to be the case, or rather necessary at all. And Cruz still finding kills. I mean, they can't find the kills on eUnited. They're trying to find them, but they just can't. Unfixed finally dying off, but they've been jumping onto the point like crazy and just stealing time away. I mean, we saw this from Movistar Riders on their defense, but it seems like eUnited has somehow managed to figure it out even more so. Swoosh going to be eliminated as well, and eUnited pushing the rest of Movistar Riders back.
Man, Cruz and Valitaja are on fire, both literally within the game. Perhaps I shouldn't use such a tired cliche, because it literally does happen within Overwatch, but they are playing out of their minds here. They're so slippery. Whenever Movistar want to focus them down, they're blinking away, swift striking, positioning themselves in much better situations, that they are apparently unkillable, and then they come back in and clutch the fights every time. 22 seconds left, very real potential here that they might just end it now. Unfixed with the nano boost up top, and Cruz with his Dragon Blade as well. They've popped off the Transcendence from Dante, but it's not going to be enough. Too little, too late, 11 seconds. If they get the kills on these players, there's no chance for Movistar. This could end right here in the first map. Is anyone even going to be close?
There is someone. We do see Logix right here sneaking his way through, does clutch overtime, but I don't think he's going to be able to do too much more. He's just basically jumping. Cruz finds that kill. It's going to be overtime ticking down. Cruz found him out, playing a little game of hide and seek there, and that is going to be eUnited taking the first map here with a stellar defensive hold under that bridge right before that second point here on Dorado.
That's beautiful play from eUnited. They slowly grind their way through the offense, but and with the way that this triple DPS v triple DPS setup works is that you can win all of your fights on attack and still not be in a great situation. You can not complete the map despite winning almost every fight, but on defense, if you start winning fights there, then you're in a great situation and you're going to be defending for ages and ages, and they get the full lockout on point 2.
Velotaja has been a monster today, and I think a big reason why they've been able to be so successful is, you know, Velotaja was pretty silent, I would say, yesterday against Movistar Riders. I mean, certainly he's been working silently throughout the last couple of matches, but, you know, I think he was
big against Dignitas, though.
Yeah,
he was having a solid game against Dignitas, but I agree with you that against Movistar, he was kind of... But so were they all. Is that going to be the key difference?
I think, honestly, I mean, we definitely saw one of the main players for eUnited. I mean, again, that three-pronged attack from eUnited is certainly what makes them so strong, I think, at the moment. And we've already seen some clutch plays coming out from Rubicon with some insane sleep darts. He's already had 3 of those already in one map alone that have certainly saved some team fights, I think. But again, Velotaja yesterday against Finzi, I mean, Finzi was able to find a lot of those kills, and that's kind of what set them up on control points with King of the Hill maps, which we are going to be jumping into next. This is going to be Nepal for our second map, as we've kind of talked about a little bit already, but Velotaja definitely coming out and really putting on a stellar performance already with this first map. Now, we'll have to see if he can kind of continue this performance, or if maybe we'll see, again, some I guess a little bit of a comeback here from Logic and Finzi and Swoosh, who certainly were able to take him out of the match a little bit, and that gave them a little bit of an edge here. But going on to Nepal, what kind of things do we expect? Obviously, we talked about this a little bit, how this was more than likely going to be the map that we see come out from Movistar Riders, but do you think eUnited have a little bit better of a shot today?
They certainly looked better when they were playing it against Dignitas than when they played against Movistar, and that was just in a matter of hours from one match to the next. They seem pretty good on a lot of these areas, but in the more open maps, I feel that's where they struggle. We might see a completely different look for them on Sanctum, talking about eUnited here, but when they get to the open maps of things like Shrine, I think Movistar have a really nice reactive style that allows them to bait in attacks from the eUnited players and then finish them very quickly.
I'm certainly looking at Velotaja try to make some play against Logix. I mean, that guy was so stellar yesterday. We'll have to see if we can see Velotaja come up ahead, and man, both recalls pointed out. We do see Cruz over on the side. Neither team wanting to go for that high ground all too much. Again, with that dive composition, they can always contest it whenever they want. But look for eUnited to try to jump in all at the same time. Cruz getting kind of aggressive, already jumping into the back here. Kolsty getting taken down pretty low, but Dante already found that kill onto Morte. That's going to give them a little bit of an edge as they push forward, and Logic's kind of low, and Kolsty pushing these guys back as well. And look at the health now, as Cruz and Unfixed are very low, but that's going to give easy opportunity with Sharik out for them to jump in, and still back and forth. eUnited refusing to back down despite losing Morte and Sharik in that fight pretty early on. And now it's going to be Cruz going forward, trying to find that kill. Tackvisor already out here for Unfixed, but Finzi with that kill, going to be able to shut that down right before he dies off with that Helix rocket throwing out. And we do see Movistar Riders losing control of that point. eUnited taking control, but Finzi again with that kill puts them a little bit ahead with that Tackvisor in their favor.
It was like an insanely deadly game of tug of war, where eventually eUnited are able to push them out of position and take control of the point. And they finally managed to recapture that, taking it up to about 20% the same. But Movistar have been given the room they need to get back into it, and here comes Attack Visor coming out of Finzi on the left-hand side. Oh, just misses that Helix rocket as well. And Fix is doing a decent job of being able to stay alive. That Attack Visor completely wasted, and now Rubicon can use his Transcendence in a separate fight.
And Morte actually pushing Finzi around. We do see Cruz trying to battle out Swoosh here. Swoosh with that Dragon Blade is able to find 2 kills, and 3 now in favor of Movistar Riders as they're wiping eUnited up. Next fight will involve Cruz's Dragon Blade though, so we'll have to see if maybe this will flip back in their favor, but Movistar Riders now might be able to tie things up here in this next fight.
Yeah, they've got some ultimates on the board, but so have both teams. They've got 2 good initiating ultimates as well. They've got that Sound Barrier from Morte, as well as the Primal Rage, both about to tick online, and then they've got their DPS ultimates up as well. They've got the replies, though, on the other side. It's going to be very even about who manages to make use of them better, as we see a huge fest in the back as Colsty is just hammering people with his meaty fists. But again, it's going to be eUnited coming out on top of it. Cruz getting a lot of value out of that Dragon Blade.
Yeah, he only took out Swoosh, but it did shut him down, so that is definitely good for them as they are able to secure the point. And Movistar Riders taking the lead here, but eUnited again going to be able to regain that, as now at 50%, they are definitely edging ever closer. But this has been back and forth so far, Sideshow, and both teams obviously on this map going for that dive, and yesterday we saw Movistar Riders definitely taking the best of that dive versus dive combo, but man, it seems like eUnited has definitely stepped things up here today.
Yeah, they're being able to get back into the point much easier as well, which is always a difficulty when you've got such weak health targets. But now this sound barrier advantage coming out for Movistar. If they can focus down targets, but the first death is actually Neptuno. Oh, Colsty falls as well. Finzi, unfixed with his tactical visor, is tearing through them. Beautiful timing for him at the back. He knew they were going to dive into him, and that just makes it even more deadly.
It's kind of strange, actually, how Movistar Riders wound up kind of pushing into unfixed there. I mean, it was just a regular attack visor, but they didn't have the right tools, I don't think. I mean, Colsty not being aggressive on it, so they didn't really have a barrier to protect them, and they just lost all of their backline to one tactical visor. Basically gave that ult charge over to eUnited there, who were involved in those kills. And now we are going to be seeing Cruz looking for an opportunity to jump into Colsty. Not even going to be necessary as the Transcendence comes out. Not going to be able to find anything. Swoosh and Finzi pulling out all their ultimates, as well as Logix and Dante. So a lot being pushed out to be able to secure this point. And now they're not going to have a lot of options going into the next one, but still, if they're able to make this next hold, we could very well see that be, all she wrote here, Sideshow.
Yeah, they're on a knife's edge now, because definitely the ultimate advantage and more time on the point here for eUnited. But if they can get a couple of picks and waste these ultimates, kite them out from Cruz, they might have a chance, but their backs are up against the wall despite being in control of the point. They need to find something beautiful, and Neptuno and Colsty waiting here, gonna sandwich some of them in.
Oh, and a nice kill out from Cruz as he just assassinates Finzi, and that's going to be big for them. We do see the sound barrier coming out from Morte, and it's going to be Cruz looking for that kill up top against Swoosh. He's going to have him pretty low, looking for that kill, but he's so elusive here. Swoosh somehow manages to get away. Overtime now with eUnited looking to hold out. Swoosh going to be jumping on the point, not going to be able to make it there, as it is going to be Neptuno and Swoosh dying off here at the end of the game, and that's 1-0 in favor of eUnited. So eUnited looking incredibly strong today, as opposed to yesterday where it looked the opposite.
Yeah, I do think, though, that Sanctum is a map that they have worked on, or Sanctum is a stage, rather, that they have worked on, and is going to play slightly differently to Village and Shrine. I think Movistar Riders, on these more open maps of Village and Shrine, should be able to play a more reactive style and wait for them to dive in, set up on the high grounds, etc. So they do play slightly differently, even when you're playing mirror compositions into them. So I don't think we should write them off just yet. Movistar Riders have got a lot to show.
Certainly looking for Cruz to make some more plays here, and we have seen Unfixed definitely stepping his game up as well. I mean, he's been all over the boards so far today. They've been doing fantastically so far, but now as things start up here on Village, Colsty brought pretty low, and Valtage are going to be able to find that kill, and look at this aggression coming out from eUnited. They're going to wipe things up so cleanly, so effectively. Logix now in the backline, going to be forced to recall, and they're going to find that kill, and it's Cruz with 3 at the end there to close things out. eUnited with a full team wipe to start things off here on Village.
Well, that's a good start for them as well, isn't it? Because that gives you the opportunity to really put pressure on these choke points as they come in, and everybody from Movistar all in the same place. But Cruz, I think he didn't quite anticipate there'd be so many of them there. Immediately burst damage down, and now Sharik's in a difficult position as well, getting chased into this small health pack area, and he's gonna get picked off. They're trading kills either way, but it's Movistar eventually getting the better end of it, it seems. They need to be able to get on the point, and some of these spawners might be able to come in if eUnited want to commit to the fight. For the moment, though, it looks like they're just going to regroup and pick off some smaller targets.
It's Colsty here jumping in, and that's going to be actually eUnited yet again with great positioning. Should be able to take this point back, but it's going to be Swoosh pulling out the Dragon Blade, looking to try to battle back into this one, and they somehow flip this fight with a Dragon Blade alone, and Finzi now on the point, just holding the control. And we will see Finzi also pulling out that tack visor as Swoosh with 1 HP somehow managed to close that out. And Movistar Riders back in this one, taking the lead here.
So a lot of ultimates on the board for eUnited to get back into it. It's really back and forth game so far. They're 1-0 down Movistar, but in control of this one for now. If they can get really good value out of their ultimates, but they don't have as many on the board. Dante pops out his Transcendence immediately. See what the reply is from eUnited, whether they even need to. Rubicon with his, and they pop out this Dragon Blade as well. See what value Cruz can get out of it. Sharik's actually the one with the first pick on the Finzi before he could use that Tactical Visor.
And we do see Logic's pulling out that ultimate there, the Pulse Bomb coming out with really no effect at all. And it's going to be, again, Movistar Riders with a nice re-entry, going to be able to wipe it up. eUnited looking strong initially, but no value out of that Dragon Blade as Cruz falls out, and Unfixed unable to pull out that Tactical Visor. So they haven't really been able to be as efficient as what we saw them starting out with. And now Morte signaling the fact that he does have that sound barrier ready, and they're going to want to pull that out soon here. Question now is going to be, do they have enough firepower? Rubicon taken out very early on, though. That aggression coming out from not only Neptuno, but also Kolsti. And it's going to be Finzi pulling out attack visor of his own. They're finding kill after kill. And if they wipe this up, that'll be it here, as eUnited has only Morte on the point. Swoosh is coming in, and he's going to find that kill as well. And that's going to be 2 there, as well as Movistar Riders more than likely holding this one out. And that should make it tied up at 1-1 here. That will be that. 100-0. Or sorry, not 100 points.
Yeah, nobody able to get onto the point at the end there, and that was a real masterclass in staying in control of Village from Movistar. They use their ultimates very effectively. They're able to focus down the players that are going to be the largest threats to them, and we'll see if they can carry the same thing over onto this Shrine, which was, I think, their best stage when they were playing previously in this matchup. And this is obviously their map pick as well, so it should be the one that they're favored on. You kind of have to win on your map picks when you're already 1 down in the series.
Now Finzi back on his soldier. I mean, really kind of no changes at all to these compositions, and we're going to be moving over to Shrine. And this is kind of an interesting map. I mean, certainly we've seen some crazy defenses on this one for sure. We talked a little bit about it yesterday, where we kind of discussed how, you know, once you get control, it's pretty easy point to defend given the geometry of the map. It's kind of hard to take back, but we saw eUnited actually doing a pretty good job of it yesterday. We'll have to see if that's going to kind of play into today at all, but now obviously with things starting off, Morte getting kind of low here, as he did take a little bit of poke. It's both teams just kind of getting some initial poke off, and then once they get someone low, they will go ahead and jump in as they find a target. And Logic's actually getting taken down pretty low. That will be the recall forced out, and now they can kind of get aggressive on it, because now he only has blanks. They're jumping in. Unfixed with the kill there, and that's going to be Cruz following up as well as they find that damage. Not the kill quite yet. Discord on Swoosh at the moment, and it's actually Cruz in the back by himself. And he's going to be taken out, but Finzi dropped off as well. Unfixed should be able to find that, and that's going to be eUnited not only with the first point, but with the first set of kills as well. Neptuno should be dying off late.
Yeah, late deaths on Neptuno and Swoosh. Ultimate charge being built up across the board. Cruz already has his Dragon Blade, and we're only at 17%. We've had 1 team fight. There's so much damage being poured out of these players, and they are in a decent position to hold on to this for a reasonable amount of time. I think Movistar need to be playing aggressively, trying to focus down targets and pick off people who've got the ultimates up, maybe even pressure them out. A lot of damage onto Sharik and Rubicon.
Cruz with that Dragon Blade, and Swoosh already with 2 kills. That's definitely going to bode well here for eUnited. He's not going to pull it out as well at all, and that's definitely smart, but eUnited should be able to make a re-entry into this next point with a lot of options. We'll have to see if they're able to flip it. Movistar Riders obviously with a pretty early flip, I think, for this point at 46% for eUnited here.
And that's kind of strange, because eUnited didn't even invest ultimates into it. They just kind of got caught with their pants down. They thought that they would be able to hold on to that one, and 1 pick goes their way, and Swoosh picks up another, and suddenly you're in a bad situation where you don't want to be expending your ultimates. Now Swoosh going in. It's going to be Rubicon replying with that Transcendence as well, trying to minimize any impact that he's able to get. Discord on Sharik, and both sound barriers as well. Huge investment of ultimates in this fight. Going to be very pivotal, whichever team manages to take the better end of this one. And it's going to be Unfixed, flipping over the scales, tossing them on the floor with his Tactical Visor, picking off 2, and everybody else from Movistar falling shortly afterwards. eUnited with the flip, and they go into the lead with 50% on the board.
Really, really nice flip from them, and they maintained their lead throughout that as well. I mean, now sitting at 55%, over 36% for Movistar Riders, certainly looking pretty strong, but they threw out a lot in that last fight. So Movistar Rider is really only with Colsty at the moment. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to make this flip. They have to get picks early on to be able to make this work in their favor, but Swoosh not seeing Cruz at all, and actually Neptuno with the Discord is going to be pressured a little bit, and Swoosh actually going to be able to make a nice trade, and Cruz now going to be taken out as Colsty pulls through with that one, and now they have a 6v5. It will be actually 6v4 as Finzi comes out with another as well, and Unfixed backed off. That should be eUnited actually forced off of this point. We'll have to see if they're able to get a little bit closer to that 99% mark if they want to contest that. As Unfixed going to be jumping on, but they will find that flip and the kill along with it. That's going to be Movistar Riders coming through yet again here, but again, 89% for eUnited.
They're in a decent position as regards to their ultimates as well. They've got Rubicons and Unfixed probably up for the next fight. No support ults on the other side unless Dante comes out huge and manages to get that during the middle of the next push. But Swoosh and Logics are going to have something to say about this, but I think there's definitely an opportunity to engage here with the Transcendence if they go quickly and be able to flip this point back.
Shark jumping in quite aggressively. Finzi forced back. They do manage to get out some good damage, but it's going to be Rubicon pulling out that Transcendence that allows them to be so aggressive. They find 3 kills. Swoosh trying to go ahead and be the one-man army that he needs to be. Logic finds a kill, but that surely won't be enough, and Swoosh more than likely going to be jumping off here. Has 8 HP, and that's going to be him dying off there. But eUnited back on the point now. Logic's trying to hold on to things as he's just, again, been all over the place on this point. We do see Colsty jumping on as well, and that actually is going to trigger the Transcendence coming out from Dante. He's coming through. We do see a lot of ultimates ready to go as we actually Unfixed going to be pulling out his tactical visor, and he's looking for more kills. Should be able to shut down Dante. Needs to find that kill if they want to get this one. Swoosh coming in, and that's going to be a dash kill as Movistar Riders somehow hang on to this one. Overtime ticking down, and that's 2-1. Movistar Riders in the lead here, somehow winning that fight despite eUnited getting a lot of early picks into that last fight.
They got all the early picks they needed. eUnited went straight to the back. They immediately pick up Finzi. Then they get Dante, the 2 players that are going to be really impactful because they were getting close to their ultimates as well. But Swoosh with the Dragon Blade picks off a couple of players to reply. And then I think most of it comes down to Colsty and Neptuno because they stalled for so long. Didn't allow the point to be flipped over at any point during that team fight, despite it looking so bad for them. Bought time for their spawners to come in. And at that point, the spawn advantage goes in favor of the Movistar guys because their players died earlier. And they're able to commit the ultimates to it to wipe everybody off the board. Well, just final moments on a hair's breadth between these 2 teams. But it is Movistar going up 2-1, and we're back to Village.
Now Unfixed here, jumping up. We saw eUnited do pretty well initially on this last map, but then eventually Movistar Riders were able to battle back into it, and now they do find that kill on Neptuno to start things off, so they do have that slight advantage. Cruz needs to stay healthy, though, as he did get dropped pretty low. Colsey trying to follow that one up, but now he's taken low. eUnited definitely going to get aggressive off that. They do find that kill, and it's Cruz jumping in, contesting these guys in this little room here, and they should be able to find that kill on Dante as well, as eUnited this time will be able to pull through, gain control of this first point, and hold on as well. Now we'll have to see if Movistar Riders will be able to steal it away from them yet again.
Bit of an early clean fight coming out there, so not too much ultimate charge gained on either side. Colsty looks like he wants to engage from this low ground while a couple of his players go through the top as well. See if they can establish the high ground position whilst Colsty jumps on them. He's going to try and get onto Morty, but that new boob comes in, launches him miles up into the air, completely denied, and both of the Winstons fall for both teams.
You see Logix getting a nice early pick onto Shark there. They might be able to engage off that. They actually jump in onto the point, and they're contesting it, trying to get the flip early on. And they won't get it initially, as eUnited did make that rotation to try to stop that from happening, and they're forced to pull back now as Swoosh does drop to Cruz. So again, 40% here for eUnited. And nothing close quite yet. They can engage with ults here on the side of Movistar Riders, but pretty soon they will be able to go for that. Last time we saw Swoosh coming through alongside Finzi and making some huge plays. So we know they only need 2 players to make some really big plays, but eUnited trying to make this go into a round 5 here.
They've got a decent position to start with. That pulse bomb's going to be pivotal as well. Onto Swoosh before he could get his Dragon Blade out. Finzi falls as well. They look like they don't want to commit the ultimates to this. As soon as Swoosh died, they had a couple that they could have thrown into it, but Point probably still wouldn't have gone their way anyway. They need something clean and decisive, and they essentially win that one with just 2 of their ultimates used, that sound barrier and the pulse bomb. There wasn't a sound barrier to reply from Neptuno, so he's going to get it up, not in this fight, but maybe in a future one. But they absolutely have to win the next fight, and they're going to be pushing into 4 ultimates. eUnited in a great position to hold.
It's going to come down to Swoosh here. We see the Transcendence coming out. He should be able to find a kill still if he's able to land that burst, but not able to get anything initially. It's up to Finzi, actually, who does find that kill onto Valitaja yet again and finds that shutdown, but it's going to be back and forth here as Unfixed coming back in, has the tack visor, definitely expecting him to pull this one out as Cruz comes alive with the Dragon Blade, jumping all over this Lucio, and they do find the kill onto Morte there on the side of Movistar Riders as Logix pulls out that pulse bomb, but again, it's going to be Unfixed with that tack visor. They close things up. It's going to be 100-0 this time, but actually in favor of eUnited, as it's going to be 2-2. We're going into a round number 5 here on Nepal.
Whoa, I don't know whether you saw Neptuno get in there, but he was moving at lightning pace, just chaining those
jumps, man,
yeah, chaining the jumps off the walls into Speed Demon, but not enough to get the overtime ticking. And again, we're not going over to Sanctum. RNGesus is shining down on Movistar today, but it's 2-2 and they absolutely need this one. This is their map pick as well. They can't afford to lose Nepal. They looked so strong on it yesterday when they played eUnited.
Question becomes, if they do lose this one, where do you go to? Do you go to Lijiang Tower again, or pull out another control map and just hope that you have a little bit better of a performance there? I mean, they just...
Yeah,
if Nepal doesn't go their way, it really is putting them at a pretty bad spot, because really it kind of came down to the fact that King of the Hill really should be their maps. I mean, both of them actually, and it would have been a question of what were the other 3 maps going to be, and certainly eUnited in a great spot since they won Dorado, but now already looking good on Nepal here. I'd be worried actually if I was them. We do see eUnited coming out that left side, and both teams again in that same familiar position here on Shrine, where they're just, again, putting out some poke damage. It's going to be Logix in the backline trying to serve out a little bit of DPS and trying to take some kills. Dante already going to find that kill on Morte, and they've been pretty consistent in dealing with the Lucio here and trying to shut him down. Obviously, Lucio pretty strong at the moment in this current meta, especially on Shrine, where you can really actually get the most of that area, that new area of effect. Obviously a lot smaller, but Shrine's a pretty small point with a lot of LOS options, so your team can definitely make the most of that. Unfixed coming through, though, with a kill of his own, but it's going to be Movistar Riders with that first little bit of control. Logix looking for that kill. He does indeed find it, but it will be returned in favor by Valitaja, and again, it's going to be eUnited trying to turn things back around, but Swoosh closing things out yet again. This man is so insane here on the Genji. Very consistent, able to win out these fights efficiently here.
Logix did a great job as well of sneaking behind, making sure that eUnited constantly had to turn their heads. Rubicon and Morte never felt safe in that fight. They couldn't really commit forwards at any point, and even though he died in the 1v1 to Valitaja, he's trying to get work done. Oh, there's another pulse bomb though coming out. Valitaja doesn't stick anything, so unfortunately not able to make that work, and Cruz also dies as well to some flicked off shurikens from Swoosh. Unfixed and Finzi both using their tactical visors, and this fight still... eUnited are playing so much pressure despite losing players early.
Shark not yet on the point. It's going to be up to Unfixed and Valitaja to find these kills, but again, Movistar Rider is just so good at getting back up onto the point and finding their composure again. Able to really kind of team fight quite well, but we do see Morte pulling out the sound barrier, and that's going to be Cruz taking the Dragon Blade out as well, but Swoosh with one of his own, he wins that duel, and despite the fact that the sound barrier came out, we saw Swoosh actually able to lock that one down along with Logix there, and they have a sound barrier for their own in the next one. Primal Rage ready to go as well from both sides actually, as Shark actually just got his up. Rubicon going to be able to have that Transcendence, and I mean, is that going to be enough here?
A recurring theme here with Movistar Riders is that they really know how to stay in control of Shrine. Despite losing the fight, or looking like they're going to lose the fight multiple times, they always stay in control. And they've not managed to flip it once, eUnited. Here's an early pick. Dante, Logix, both dying. They've got the Primal Rage, and Finzi, oh, Finzi dies actually, so no tactical visor going to be coming up for him. Colsty has to reset as well. I think they were going for another stall there, seeing if they could bring in some more spawners, but at this point, eUnited were able to pick off everybody that they wanted across the board, and now they've denied the Primal Rage for the next fight. Definitely a lot of time here for Movistar Riders. They only need to flip once, but eUnited have got to take some lessons from Movistar and stay in control of this fight. I think Colsty's been doing an excellent job the whole time, along with Neptuno, of making sure that the point stays alive. That's something that Sharik's going to have a lot of work to do. Oh, that stick to start it off!
And now Fenzi pulling out at the tack visor. They're looking for kills on the backside, and it's going to be Morte without any help. And actually, Rubicon being contested as well. He's going to be basically zoned off. And that's going to be Shark taken down as well. Should be Movistar Riders securing this one yet again with really kind of just that opening pick from Logic setting things up. The flip comes out, overtime starting off, and we'll have to see if eUnited's able to make a play here. Unfixed with that Harmony Orb looking for it. Oh, he doesn't get onto the point! That's going to be it. Movistar Riders stealing that one away. 100 points on the board for them to be able to close. And that is going to be, man, 3-2 here on Nepal. Barely taking it. Not looking as as strong as what we saw yesterday on this map, but nonetheless able to close it out. Now we are tied 1-1 in the set.
It's a little bit of a heartbreaker though for eUnited, because that could have really been their platform, their springboard to be able to jump through this grand final and apply a lot of pressure. At least they get the silver lining of they get to pick the next map and potentially go 2-1 up in the series. But that was a very winnable control map for them. And that was the kind of stuff that we were talking about in the pregame. If they allow both of the control maps to go easily over to Movistar, they're fighting from a 2-0 deficit, essentially, like straight off the bat. Because those maps are going to come up at some point. We've got 7 maps in the pool and a 5-map series here, and most teams have been steering away from Hanamura, so I don't expect that to be coming out. Neither of the teams that have been happening later in the playoffs have really looked at or really seen that comfortable on it, just purely based off their map picks. It was only really Misfits who were picking that earlier on, and that's why we saw it so often. So eUnited with an opportunity to take it, maybe a King's Row or a Route 66 is going to come out now, because they look more comfortable on the payload maps for sure.
I feel like it's going to be King's Row, Route 66 myself, and it is going to be Route 66, actually, just as we were talking about it, they wound up picking that one out, so Route 66 is going to be that next map, and we did actually see eUnited playing it yesterday, of course. We saw them playing it not only against Movistar Riders, but as well as Dignitas. Movistar Riders stole it away from eUnited yesterday, and it was pretty close, I would say. And I mean, certainly with the adaptations we've seen eUnited make, they're certainly going to be in a much better place to take that. But Dignitas did win it yesterday. We'll have to see again if eUnited has been able to make enough changes to look better on this map. I mean, what do you kind of expect going into this one?
Well, interestingly, this was the one payload map that we saw in the upper bracket final as well when Movistar played against eUnited, and Movistar actually won that one as well. Both teams were able to get to that final stretch in the warehouse area, but Movistar pushed it a little further, and then on their defense were able to stall out eUnited and weren't able to do it. Now, most of that was actually won because they had delayed so much time off eUnited, and they only had about a minute and a half to be able to push through the warehouse. So that's what they're going to be looking to do. They're playing the kind of compositions where you want to whittle as much time off at the beginning as possible. And then when eUnited played it yesterday against Dignitas, Dignitas actually came out with the win as well, essentially locking eUnited off in to the second checkpoint, and they weren't able to get further into the warehouse area, and then they came through with a lightning push of their own that just minced the eUnited to pieces. So this is actually strangely a map that, whilst it might be one of the best in the pool for eUnited, they've lost it twice in their 2 most recent maps in this tournament. And although they look in general pretty solid on it, they're going to have to come out with they're going to have to minimize their own mistakes, because I think it's them losing the map rather than the other team winning it in a lot of these situations.
I feel the same way about their King's Row as well. I mean, certainly they looked pretty strong historically on that, but I think, again, just like kind of the hesitation that we saw, just pulling back a little bit, I think they're kind of beating themselves on those maps that otherwise I think they were pretty strong on. So I think if they go into this with a little bit of confidence, I mean, certainly that performance on Nepal has to give them at least some confidence. I mean, they lost it, but they are certainly looking a lot better than yesterday. So clearly some adjustments have been made where they are definitely playing a little bit better here. And hoping that eUnited is going to be able to make this one pretty interesting, as it was yesterday. I mean, it still was a very close match yesterday. It could have been either way. And now eUnited here starting things off on the attacking side. Again, we're tied 1-1 here between eUnited and Movistar Riders. This is the grand finals of the Overwatch PIT Championship for the EU side of things. We will have NA as well later. But, man, this has been an exciting match so far. Tied up right now. Yesterday, Movistar Riders sent eUnited to the bottom side of the bracket with a 3-0. Looking fairly convincing, but in the grand finals here, things are looking a lot closer.
Yeah, definitely. eUnited really stepping up where they fell a little flat yesterday, but they'll have to do it on Route 66 as well. Already at 1-1, and the first map was kind of a good one for them. So that we have seen the same compositions coming out of both teams. I wondered whether we'd see some kind of Pharah play, but we've got an aggressive defense coming out of Movistar here. And again, though, eUnited are really good at being able to break this one. Colsty's the first one to fall as the tank's taken down, and Shark's got a quicker spawn, so they can delay it a little bit. They'll have that tank in more easily, more quickly. Be able to pick off players. Swoosh is the first to fall as well in this delayed team fight. That's a lot of damage taken out of the situation, and Crew's given a platform to work from.
But look how Movistar Riders are just up here contesting this one, and that's all they want to do in this particular situation is contest, contest, contest for as long as humanly possible. And now Colsty actually jumping back onto the point. He's trying to make a play, and it's going to be eUnited finally, after a minute, able to move this objective.
Yeah, they delayed a lot of time with the point, and as you said, that is their goal the entire time. It's whenever you're winning fights on the defense, you're in a fantastic position because you can then reset and hold all the way up at the choke point again. But you still, with this triple DPS dive, get a lot of value just out of taking the fights because you delay for so long. You've got very slippery players. Oh, that pulse bomb onto Neptuno takes him out with his sound barrier, and that was their main tool to work with on this defense here. So eUnited in a great position just to mop up some players and take this first checkpoint quite quickly.
Colsty on the point once again. eUnited able to mop those kills up, and that's going to be that last one onto the Winston from Movistar Riders. And Cruz already with a ton of kills racked up in his favor. Dragonblade at the ready, and look at how eUnited has actually managed to get themselves 4 ultimates stacked up as they get this first objective with a lot of time to spare here. 4:37 on the clock was what we saw when it flipped. Doors opening, so a little bit of dead time here as we wait for the payload to push through, and they should be able to have 3 on it as they go ahead. And Logic's already starting things off with a kill onto Sharik, and they should be able to get aggressive off of this. Definitely expect Movistar Riders to push through. They already find another, but Cruz returning fire here as he's potentially going to be pulling out that Dragon Blade once a couple of more spawns come out from the side of his team. And actually, he's not going to be pulling it out at all. Still wants those respawns. And they are going to be able to have that little bit of an advantage given the fact that it's slightly closer. But it's Swoosh actually pulling his out. And Swoosh with that nano boost as well. Going to be able to find Unfixed. And he's looking for more, but just getting pushed all over the place is only going to be able to find that one kill. And now Soundberry coming out for Movistar Riders as they're hoping to hold on. Valataja with a nice kill, setting things up, and they're trying to take out Swoosh now, who's kind of caught in the back. They do manage to find that kill. Logic's going to be the next one, and eUnited again on a really nice pace here through this second objective stage.
I'm not sure whether this was deliberate from eUnited, but I think that that was an incredible bait play coming in from them. They throw in Sharik really early on in what looked like an uncharacteristic mistake, and then set their positioning up really passive around that choke point. And I think the entire idea of that was just to try and bait in the really aggressive play from Movistar Riders to the point where they're going to invest ultimates and get kited for days and then be able to win the afterfight. I think that might have just been a fantastically cerebral positioning play from eUnited that gave them a great win that they're now just snowballing forwards.
And Unfixed pulling out the tack visor was very dealt with there, just sending him up into the sky. That was, of course, Colsty there, who's now making some more plays, able to find Rubicon on the Zenyatta, and Dante actually getting kind of handled. It'll be Colsty sliding over, trying to save his teammates, but actually Valataja once again with the clutch pickup should be able to take out Logix here perhaps, and Neptuno going to be taken down as we do see Cruz dealt with. And now it's just going to be a little bit of a 1v1. We do see additions coming in as Logix is back onto this one. And actually, Valataja almost able to win that one out, but Logix finds the kill there, and that will be
scrappy. It's getting to be a really drawn-out, long fight here. Morte's put to sleep as well. He hasn't really taken much damage for it, though, and eUnited starting just to set up. They don't want to throw too many bodies into it. Movistar holding on for now, but Morte's on the point as well. Eventually, a lot of these picks are going the way of eUnited, but they've got such a spawn disadvantage. Oh, now they're getting the better end of it as Cruz comes in on fire. The pulse bomb picks off Sharik, but it's not enough. And they take the second checkpoint. And this is what had been, in the previous times we've seen eUnited play this, they had got to this point with about a minute and a half left on the clock. So this is way better than the previous times that they've been setting in this tournament on Route 66.
Benzi now setting himself to try to get some high ground, pushing Unfixed off of it. certainly they're going to be a little bit of an advantage, which is what you want, especially on the defensive side. I mean, it's almost expected, especially on this stage of the map where it's just so easy to try to take advantage of the geometry of the map. And Shark now getting taken down pretty low, forced to put out his barrier, and he is going to get aggressive actually on Fenzi with that Harmony Orb. We do see the attack visor coming out, and that's nano boosted as well, and now he's turning for Cruz, finds the kill as the Dragon Blade comes out, but he's actually not going to be losing that charge. Unfixed finding that kill, but not before we do see Fenzi returning fire, and it's back and forth once again, but it looks like Movistar Rider's going to be able to make the most of this with that stick coming out there, finding that kill onto Unfixed. That'll be closing things out. Might not have been required, but Logix nonetheless should be able to get that Pulse Bomb up and ready very, very quickly here. So, you know, it might not amount to much there.
Here's the thing though, they used some really powerful ultimates in that nano visor, and now it's just given an opportunity for eUnited to switch onto a composition that's probably slightly better at taking this final area, with Sharik on the Reinhardt, and they've also got Rubicon to keep him alive. They've got so many ultimates as well. Cruz able to use this one, but it's been countered by a sound barrier. That's going to eat up most of his damage, but Sharik on the Reinhardt is just playing so aggressively, getting in their face, pounding that hammer around and getting a lot of damage out onto everybody. He's already up to 50% of his ultimate, and he's literally just respawned on the hero.
I actually like that because, I mean, again, with these fights being so scrappy, he's just all over the place. Pulse Bomb coming out, he's going to be able to block that damage. And they're going to be pushing forward on this stage of the map where, honestly, the Earthshatter could very well be a deciding factor. And he charges up, but just to try to get up in their face, not actually going to go for a charge, as that is going to be not securing any kills, as he certainly pushed them just right back into that door. And Fenzi now taken pretty low. Cruz able to find that kill. Charge coming out this time. Oh, he hits the barrel there, or the crate, as he actually does finish off Dante. And Nano Boost coming out onto him. He gets slept. Oh. And Kolsti on the Reinhardt, after making that swap, gets shut down by the Sleep Dart alone there. Rubicon once again with a huge play. And that's going to be 1:14 on the clock, a side switch, and eUnited with a decent start here to the map.
A fantastic start there to the map. eUnited looks so much better than previous times that we've seen them play Route 66. In general, this has been the story of the grand finals, is that this is so much better than we saw the previous upper bracket finals when these two teams clashed before. Movistar Riders, maybe they peaked too early, but they don't really seem to be playing that much worse than they were in the tournament, in that previous match, sorry. But eUnited are coming out on fire both individually and with the strategy that they're bringing to the game. They know exactly what they want to do in each situation. You saw that at the beginning of the warehouse. Yes, they've set a brilliant time and managed to capture checkpoint 2 and get that snowball rolling, but then they go in, they force out a couple of the ultimates, a couple of really powerful ultimates as well, switch over their own composition to get Sharik and Rubicon in a much better position for pushing it through the warehouse stage, cause chaos in the ranks of Movistar, force them to switch onto the Reinhardt as well to try and counter, and then utterly outplay them in terms of positioning and value from their ultimates, with Unfix getting that clutch tactical visor off at the end, Sharik's build up his Earthshatter. It was textbook play. It was really fantastic to watch.
Logix on the Hanzo right now, and that's just to check to see if we're going to be seeing an aggressive setup coming off of the defense, where he's just going to go ahead and shoot it right into that side of the train and see if they're there. So he'll be swapping off very likely back over to that Tracer, and they'll be running that same comp we've been seeing them consistently running throughout this tournament, certainly the playoff series at least. On the defensive side, we do see that full dive coming out from eUnited, Unfixed on the Soldier to start things off. On Dorado, we saw the Pharah, but I do like the Soldier on this map. I think it's just a little bit more advantageous, gives them a little bit of an edge. Just utilizing that mirror, I think, just taking advantage of the defensive geometry, certainly, of the map, where you can kind of come back into this backside, and he's going to more than likely just be sending rockets through that top cave section, through that little the little shaft there, and he'll be jumping forward. You will see him push forward now. He's looking for an opportunity to just find some easy damage. Going to be contesting Fenzi. They send rockets towards each other and actually take a pretty even trade to start things off. But it's going to be eUnited not being too aggressive here to start things. Doing that typical eUnited strat of just find a lot of poke damage, get someone low, pull some cooldowns out, and then get aggressive, dive on top of it. We're looking for that opportunity here to start things off, as Shark just waiting for that one. He's going to be coming in. Barrier going to be going down, and actually Kolsti pulling one of his own out. And again, they're just waiting for those cooldowns to come out before they can jump on, and it's going to be Kolsti jumping in pretty soon here, just getting himself into position. Shark taken out pretty early there. eUnited actually not going to be in a really good position, as Kolsti going to be able to just basically reign dominance, just assert it here, as eUnited pulling onto the point. They're going to be wiped up very cleanly, and really a slow fight, a very slow-paced fight on the side of eUnited. They just basically crumble under Movistar Riders.
Super disciplined from Movistar. That's what we were seeing in particularly in the upper bracket final, was that Movistar are a very disciplined team. They don't allow players to get out of position that often. United gonna be able to recontest for another fight just before the second checkpoint. Nice bionic grenade, but Logic's with a stick. Sharek falls as well, and again, just clinically finishing people off on this attack. Swoosh has used his Dragon Blade as well, actually. Feels like he needs to invest that one to be able to get some picks, and with a single swipe, he takes down Valuetaja and Unfixed. But ultimate's up for both teams in this second phase. United not going to be too happy about the defense that they've set so far, and they're kind of being locked out of these choke points. So if Movistar can continue to apply the pressure, they could get a really good time.
Really decent set of fights here from Movistar Riders, but United have a couple of ults coming online, and certainly that nano boost going to play big time for them as they go on to either Unfixed or Cruise. But you really don't want to see eUnited using too much to secure this next one, unless they really kind of are forced to, with Finzi or Coolsty pulling something out, or perhaps even Neptuno to try to combat some of these ultimates that can come out. And the nano boost coming out, that's actually onto Cruise. Actually not onto Cruise at all, I don't think.
Yeah, it's a nano blade coming out from Cruise. He's sweeping, swooshing around. Logix and Coolsty both fall. They get those picks, and they only had to invest those 2 ultimates. I thought he was going to get kited completely there when Neptuno dropped the sound barrier, and he didn't find the immediate kill, so didn't get the dash reset, but comes out with the goods in the end.
A little bit of that animation, but couldn't see the nano boost on him. But nonetheless, they are able to make the stop here. 345 on the time bank, and they still hold on to a lot of their options. I mean, they're going to have 4 ultimates in this next one. Valuetaja looking for an opening pick, and he does sight these guys. Finzi actually getting pushed on, and they have a great positioning to jump in there. Coolsty trying to come into the back, and we do see the Pulse Bomb coming out, not going to find anything. And look at this, Swoosh coming through. Primal Rage coming out from Coolsty as mentioned, and he's still finding kills. Logic finding some of his own as well, and they're going to be able to wipe up eUnited despite, I mean, it almost seemed like they basically baited Finzi there a little bit. I mean, not intentionally, but they took advantage of the positioning and just jumped on everybody that was left out of that attack onto Finzi on the high ground, and just won the fight off of that.
United definitely have a position to be able to get this before it gets to this next checkpoint. Tactical Visor used for Unfixed on the high ground, but he was surrounded by 3 players immediately focused down. And they're getting all of the kills here, Movistar. This was a really bad re-engagement from eUnited. A few of their players just in very sticky positions, lots of pressure coming out from Movistar. And look at this pace that they've set. This is a fantastic attack, as eUnited have crumbled so far on the defense. 4 minutes to assail the warehouse.
Finzi getting control of that high ground, actually just dropping off there. Very, very good time set here by Movistar Riders to start things off. Just under 4 minutes to go, and they definitely look like they're on pace to go ahead and beat the time actually set by eUnited, which we were kind of initially impressed with. But Tac Visor coming out from Finzi, going to be able to take out Morte, and again, that pick onto the Lucio has been huge for them. They've been finding it very, very consistently, and we will see Cruz taken out as well as he's on the point. And now Movistar Riders just pushing this one through yet again. They have, I mean, pretty much only one more fight to win. If they win this next one, they will be setting a pace of just under 3 minutes, which will obviously give them a huge advantage into overtime.
Double tags coming out for the defense here. Sharek and Unfixed moving over to Reinhardt and Zarya. Here comes a Nano Blade coming out from Cruz as well. Immediately takes a Zarya bubble to keep him alive in the beginning stages. Replied with a sound barrier for now, but Cruz cannot be denied. Dante and Logix both fall. Fairly large investment in ultimates, but they absolutely had to stop the payload happening there so that they could take position, stabilize, and stop the snowball rolling. Well, that avalanche has been pushed all the way back up the hill, and they've set themselves a decent opportunity here to hold. Another minute and a half, and they'll have set the same time, but they'll be wanting to hold out for even longer.
Getting back into position here, and Swoosh, who was denied on that last one, going to be able to try to pull out a blade of his own. Cruz made a huge play to be able to make that defense, but now we'll see if Swoosh can actually do one of his own. And looking for that kill onto the Lucio. Actually, it gets avoided pretty cleanly there, as Swoosh going to have to be jumping back in. Not going to find anything. This is going to be a back and forth here now, as Swoosh wasn't able to wipe it up as he was expecting to. And now Dante forced a Transcendence. They're at a little bit of an advantage here in numbers, but it is going to be spawn advantage to the defense. Valuetaja going to be taken out, and again, Movistar Riders pushing forward, but they're gonna have to deal with not only Cruz but everybody else coming off of that respawn, and we will see the contest happening here as they're jumping on. Cruz gonna be taken out there, Shark gonna be falling as well, and Movistar Riders not losing composure at all as they're holding on.
Shark had the Earth Shatter, but he wasn't able to use it. Valitage is the only one blocking the point. They put so much pressure on Shark that he wasn't even able to use his ultimate there, and they managed to cap it out with a 30-second advantage. Grand scheme of things, probably not going to make that much difference, but it comes down to execution at the beginning, and Movistar was so much better.
Now going into overtime here, we're going to have eUnited attacking first, and as you said, I think I agree that, you know, 30 seconds really isn't too much, but I mean, it might make all the difference if we do see one wipe happening, where, you know, we could potentially very much see that 30 seconds amounting to an extra fight. We'll have to see. I mean, obviously, if they lose a fight, they'll lose momentum, and that's going to be tough to battle back into because we could see a lot of ultimates taken out as well, as they won't need to hold on to them with the time bank being so low. If you get an ultimate, it's pretty much coming out almost immediately. But now here on overtime, it's just going to be whoever makes it the furthest distance is going to be our victor here and going to be taking the lead in the series. Again, this is a best of 5, so winner not going to be taking the match, but they're going to be at the advantage, and loser will pick the next map to move forward with. And again, I mean, if eUnited falls on this one, they don't have a lot of options left in the map pool.
No, they definitely don't. I think this is a must-win map for United, despite the fact that, in general, they've looked good again, but they haven't looked as good as their opponent. But it comes down to this: can they execute the offense properly? They've got the double sniper just for the moment because they know this aggressive defense is going to be in there. If they can find an initial pick, then that'll be great for them. But Morty's being pressured down. Oh, he actually dies. He committed out there.
And that's actually pretty big for them, and that makes an initial stop. That's going to actually give them even more of a boost because they already had that 30-second advantage. Now they have to wait to engage a little bit longer, but they could still be punished actually by this very aggressive defensive style that's coming out from Movistar Riders. They held very well initially, but they're coming out of spawn. They get the heals that they need. Dante taken down pretty low, and he's going to have less cooldowns now. Sleep Dart comes out. Neptuno finding that kill, but actually the kill onto Logix might give them an opportunity to jump in, but it's actually Movistar Riders returning fire. They need to be able to close this fight out quickly, but the spawn is so close to the attacking side, and they could easily just stagger this one in until they win it, but they're going to have to sustain against a very aggressive defensive comp from Movistar Riders.
eUnited are not playing aggressively enough themselves to take advantage of the spawn times, though. Oh, there we go. Colsty down. That's going to really help them. Cruz has fallen a little weak himself, and Ultimate's starting to get on the board. Finzi with his tag visor already picks up one, though. This is looking disastrous for eUnited. This cart has barely made any room here, and there's only 2 of them left alive. Sharix, Winston unable to do anything. Morte's stuck in the caverns and will fall, and look at that. Is there any hope here for eUnited? They normally let the cart get to that point without even contesting it.
Yeah, they are not used to making a hold at that stage of the map, so it's huge that we saw the ultimates coming out there from Movistar Riders, because they, I mean, with Colsty being taken out, they had to rely on those 2 DPS players, Swoosh and Finzi, to come out again and make those plays. We saw it on Nepal, so it isn't anything new, but I mean, they definitely have in time kind of relied a little bit on those 2 guys to be making those plays with the ultimates when they have when they're down a little bit and able to return fire to come back into those fights. It's happened before and it happened again. They've been very consistent with their performances in that kind of scenario. And now with 144 on the clock, I mean, look at the distance that they have to cover to actually be able to win this map. I mean, we're talking 20 meters, Sideshow, 20 meters in 2 minutes off of the spawn where they have a huge advantage. All they have to do is beat out eUnited in a place where they have consistently been the victors in most of these fights, and eUnited not used to holding in this particular location on this map.
Not at all. I wonder whether we are going to see something different coming out of Movistar here, though, because they know that eUnited are going to be pressing up. They know that they're going to be running the triple tank. We've seen people running the Widowmaker in this situation. We saw Morte try it because you've got 200 HP targets. You know that they're going to be within this sight line. If you can find an early pick, it's going to be really pivotal. But they look like they're experimenting with a couple of tanks as well. They do have 1:40, and they're going for picks here.
All they need is that 1 kill, and Cruz, oh, if he would have been able to get that deflect, but Logic's already with 1. He was already one of the clutch performers for Movistar Riders. They already are up 6v4, and now he should be able to deal with Shark. They find the kill on the Morte as well. eUnited falling all over the place, and Shark forced off the point. Movistar with ease pushing this one through, and they steal away eUnited's map, and they take it 2-1. And again, they have almost no options in the map pool left here on the side of eUnited, and the question becomes, what now?
It took them 28 seconds to be able to do that. And Logix just instantly, they're running a composition that's good for picks. They've got Logix on the Roadhog. All he has to do is hit a hook, and they've almost won the fight. And Neptuno as well. And Logix immediately, the first hook he throws out, connects round the back of Valutage's head, drags him forwards for a good old cuddle, and a scrap gun plunge right into his mouth, and Valutage goes down, and that's it. Like, how can you recover from that when you're having to play so aggressively and one of your potential star DPS players is immediately taken out? There's no recovery from there, and United go down in the maps here, and like you're saying, what do they go for? Maybe have they been secretly practicing Hanamura, and that's a pocket pick for them?
That's going to be tough, man, because obviously, like we've said, it's one of those maps that it's kind of scary to pull out because of the changes and everything. I mean, certainly things can go either way, and it's kind of be back and forth. But going back to Reach 66 real quick, I actually really like the fact that they pulled out that Widowmaker, because if you think about it, just on top of the fact that Logix had that that other character which would be able to provide them with picks, but if you think about it, the Widowmaker would be safe throughout that fight more than likely with a perfect sightline onto the point, because they only had to go that very short distance. So getting on top of that train that we saw him get on very early on, he could have almost literally sat there the entire rest of the game and just been able to have that perfect sightline onto the point, being able to provide cover fire for the rest of the team, and you know, really United would have had no chance to contest that point. So ultimately, with the comp that they had, they would have eventually won no matter what. I mean, all they needed was a couple of kills. They found it very early on, and that's why it looked so easy for them. But the next map is going to be Lijiang Tower that eUnited pulls out, which I think Movistar has. I think they do.
Yeah, I am. I don't know why. I cannot think of a reason why they would want to go to Lijiang against Movistar when they got pretty much slammed on it the last time they played them, and have looked like this will happen again. When they could go to Kings Row, which has been a fairly even game for them and I think would be a reasonable pick. They could go to Ilios as well, which I don't think we've seen this entire tournament over in the EU portion, but has been a good map for eUnited. Historically was like the map for reUnited, but that was so long ago that I don't know whether it really holds any relevance. But they've played it a couple of times, I think, in a Strivewire tournament or something, and they still looked reasonably good on it. I would even favor them on that over Lijiang, but Lijiang looked so good for Movistar that this almost seems like a death sentence. I really don't know why they've gone there, but hopefully they have something new to show us.
Yeah, I mean, eUnited had pulled this out both times. I mean, against Dignitas, they looked pretty solid. I think they were able to change a couple of things around, and even against Movistar yesterday, it went to a game 5, and it was pretty back and forth. We saw one of the maps actually go 99 to 100, so it could have, I mean, technically could have gone either way, but with eUnited definitely looking better against Dignitas, and certainly just in this series alone looking better against Movistar Riders as a whole in general, you know, I think they have a shot here. I think this could be another one of those round 5 type King of the Hills where we've seen pretty consistently between these two teams, actually. And I think that we will see that as well. But I think Movistar Riders just still has just a little bit of an edge, and I think they're going to be able to pull this one out over eUnited. And I guess the question is eUnited going to be able to impress here on this map and be able to steal it away and tie this up 2-2? I mean, will we see a map number 5? It's been incredibly close between these two teams so far. We saw map number 5 coming out against Dignitas, and eUnited able to win that one out. So certainly showing that they have a lot of perseverance to be able to see matches through when they get down to the nitty gritty. And you know, you're two hours into a single set. You just played a set before, so eUnited with no signs of slowing up. So as things progress, I definitely think eUnited are going to be pretty comfortable, and we'll have to see if Movistar Riders have that same tenacity to push through. But just waiting on Movistar Riders, I believe, before we do get into Lijiang Tower. And again, at the moment, this is 2-1 with Movistar Riders ahead. If we look at the standings here, just to see how these teams got here, for anybody just now joining in, Movistar Riders actually sent eUnited in the upper bracket finals 3-0 down to the lower bracket finals where they had to contest Team Dignitas. eUnited barely, as mentioned before, won that one out 3-2. Very, very close match. Came down to a map number 5 on Nepal to be able to push through to the grand finals, and now sitting 2-1 against Movistar Riders. We are jumping into Lijiang Tower here where eUnited made the map pick, but Movistar Riders with the recent map win in the history between these two teams.
And this is the stage, you know, that I am really concerned about, because eUnited have looked at times really good on Garden, and at times they've looked really competitive on Control Center as well. But when we saw these two teams matching up on Night Market, every time it looked like Movistar Riders were getting the better end of it. And eUnited, when they played against Dignitas, kind of reverted back to a quite aggressive style. But Dignitas were also making wrap plays a lot, and in general just trying to play make way more than Movistar do. Movistar play very passively when they're playing on this particular stage. They wait for the they wait for somebody to fall out of position on eUnited and then jump all over them, and they have a very disciplined reactive style. I'm not sure whether eUnited have the tools to be able to break it, unless they just go balls to the wall aggressive and try and pick off individual players before they've even got time to react. I think that might genuinely be the best way of trying to do this, is just go for the individual clutch.
We've seen eUnited pulling those out in the past. Just going to have to wait and see if they're able to commit and execute properly here, because again, on Lijiang Tower yesterday, we saw teams doing quite well against eUnited where, you know, they were just reacting to that. So I definitely have to agree, but now starting things off, we do see Logic and Valitaja getting taken down pretty low. And there, again, we're just waiting for that opening fight to start off where we see some aggression coming out from one of the teams. And it actually is going to start off here as Unfix gets jumped on, gets taken out pretty early on. And again, Movistar Riders with an early advantage as Colsey comes around, finds that health pack. Logic's going to be taken out, but it will be Movistar Riders more than likely pulling away with the advantage here and taking this first point.
And they're trying to get the tiniest of advantages before they decide to initiate as well. Colsey sidling his way up, using the cover that he's got, then placing his Winston barrier down to give them the overall health advantage as it blocks some of the spam. Then they're waiting for both of the biotic fields to be placed from the soldiers. Then they're choosing their targets on whoever they manage to get the most damage and poke onto. So just on a knife's edge, these precision little decisions that are being made coming out in favor of Movistar Riders on the first fights. And now they go to a 30% lead as ultimates start to get on the board for them as well.
They have the option to go for Cruz here, who's very aggressive, doesn't have his deflect, but actually he's just in the backline. No one's looking at him. He finds 2 kills with the melee, finding a third as well with the dash. And now going in with the reset, able to find yet another. And Cruz all over the place here, having the time of his life. They were able to clean up Colsey and now flip the point back in their favor, but 44% on the board for Movistar Riders here to start things off.
Cruz has been a monster ever since he switched over to Lucio and went onto Genji. We had always thought that he had this kind of potential because he's got proficiency with the DPS players, the heroes in general, but he has been a monster on Genji since he joined on that role for this team, and they're carrying this momentum forwards. Valutaja as well, hitting a nice pulse bomb. They've denied this fight essentially from Movistar. They can't get back into it with their ultimates because they've lost players too quickly, and this aggressive kind of individualistic play from eUnited is probably exactly what they need if Cruz and Valutaja can keep popping off.
And that's good for them because delaying this potential 6 ultimate fight here is going to be big for them to be able to steal away points. And they actually start things off nicely. Transcendence coming out. They're going to be able to secure this fight more than likely. Discord going out onto Colsey. And actually Finzi is going to be the one to pull out that tac visor as ultimates coming out from both sides. Cruz looking for that kill. He does have the Dragon Blade out and he does find that kill as well for himself. And look at this. Both teams throwing out 5 different ultimates, and it's Neptuno and Shark holding on to theirs. But it is going to be eUnited looking like they're going to come out on top. Primal Rage does indeed come out. And in the next fight, we will see Neptuno pulling out that sound barrier. So they're going to be at a little bit of an advantage, but not much of one.
It might be enough to flip it over if they try and make the fight happen all the way around the point. If they try and get early position on the point and then drop their sound barrier, if they have to drop it to get through this first choke point, then I think eUnited are laughing. They're going all the way to the bank with that one. But trying to get this happening around the left-hand side, seeing if they can just force the fight. Oh, Morty and Rubicon falling so quickly, though, to that aggression. And I'm completely proven wrong as Movistar make that added shield that they had work perfectly for them. Cruz coming back in with 2, though. Is he really going to be able to clutch?
I don't think that he's going to be able to pull this one out. I mean, he's been a monster so far, but that is going to be it. Logic's able to find that kill with the deflect down. And eUnited lose control, but with a good amount of time, actually, to try to come back into this one. Still going to have to fight off Swoosh, who does have that Dragon Blade himself. And Rubicon was just eliminated, so they're going to have to wait for that respawn as Colsty coming forward. They do have that little bit. Oh, what a deflect there coming out from Swoosh as Finzi follows suit with a helix of his own. And they find a quick set of kills onto Valataja and Morte. And now they're going to be pulling back, waiting for those respawns. At 70% now, Movistar Riders certainly looking like they could pull ahead. And really, it's just going to be down to this last fight with Swoosh having that Dragon Blade ready.
Yeah, no real ultimate's going to be up for the next fight unless Rubicon will actually have his Transcendence live, so definite potential.
We will see Swoosh pulling that one up. Dragon Blade into the Transcendence, and Rubicon more than likely saving these guys for now at least. But Morte outside of the Transcendence as it does fall, going to be taken out. Cruz finding one of his own, and he's looking for that last little bit of charge to clutch things out. Colsty, Primal Rage coming out. That's going to save his life, and now Cruz forced to jump onto the point with the Dragon Blade of his own. Finds that kill, finds another into Logix. He's looking for the cleanup, and Swoosh taken down as well. It's just going to be the Genji here on the point, trying to take down Colsty as Morte comes through, going to be able to support him. They should be able to find this. They might be able to flip this one back in their favor, and actually, we do see the Transcendence coming out again from Dante, and it's going to be right on top of the soldier. Finzi trying to survive through this one. Burst damage coming out again from eUnited as they're looking for Dante. They push him off the point. Again, it's just in overtime here, and it is in favor of Movistar Riders. So not only do reUnited have to pull this one out and flip it, but they also have to hold out long enough against the stagger to secure this in their favor as well to finish this map off. And that's going to be flipped finally. Overtime ticking down, and oh, Colsty not able to get on the point. eUnited steal it away.
That was so close. He just had the little end of his tiptoes about to touch onto the point there, but overtime ticks down lightning fast when you're when it's been in overtime for so long. And actually, Morte and Unfix were both coming up onto their ultimates as well, so the longer that kept being dragged out, the better and better it was looking overall for eUnited. But that's a great performance from them to go up 1-0 on Li Zhang, and that's exactly what they need to pull out. This is do or die territory for eUnited. They can smell the fact that they can get back into this series if they're able to pull out performances like that, but Movistar want to shut them out. And imagine what that would be for Movistar to be able to come out with the win in the biggest EU tournament that we've had in so long, when this team was a dark horse for just nobody would have predicted this.
eUnited definitely probably one of the teams that people expected, probably like eUnited Misfits or something like that would have been the assumed finals here. But man, Movistar not only taking down eUnited, but also Misfits kind of upset as well. Definitely set this up to be an interesting grand final, and a very, very close indeed between these two teams. But Cruz starting things off nicely. This is the first time we've seen him on a Ferret in quite a while, since yesterday actually, where we saw him pull it out early on, and he's actually coming alive at the moment. He's going to have to contest Swoosh in the sky. They're finding a lot of rockets onto each other, and now Swoosh going to be taken out. Unfixed able to find that kill, which allows Cruz to just go wherever he pleases, able to dish out the damage, but he's taken down pretty low as he actually gets low to the ground. And it is going to be Winston and Logix there coming through, as Logix is going to be dealt with, and eUnited alongside Cruz's help there before dying off finally do secure that objective, and they're looking a lot better here on Li Zhang.
And it's very very strong to play with a Pharah when you've got the control of the point as well. So Cruz is going to be able to play from distance. Swoosh has had to switch off to the Genji as well because they want to close the distance and be able to pick off kills. They'll go for the win on the ground, but Rubicon and Valitaja instantly getting picks there. I think that was on the flank actually as well. Those players were trying to come around for a little bit of a squeeze play around the side, and they instantly got melted. So 30% on the board now as well. Lots of ultimates up here for eUnited as well. They've got the Transcendence to be able to reply to any kind of attack.
Now Cruz with that barrage. We did see Swoosh switching off, and he's going to look for a knockoff onto Finzi, but not going to be able to find it as Colsty actually comes through and zones that off a little bit. And on the point, we do see Cruz forced to kind of come over and support that. Logic's getting a lot of early damage off, and Swoosh taken down low, and it's going to be the Transcendence forced out from Rubicon, and Unfixed somehow managing to stay alive through that. And even so, with the Transcendence out, it's going to be a ton of kills on the board, two actually to make it exact, from Finzi, with that tactical visor coming through and being incredibly valuable for them to be able to be in a nice position to swap this back in their favor. But by the time they finally do, Sideshow, they're going to be down so much. They finally make that flip. It's going to be about 71%. Oh, 70%. It actually ticked back there. But still, 70% now for eUnited.
That's quite a massive flip for them there, though, because they absolutely had to retake the point, and fairly cleanly, if they want to get back into this stage whatsoever and avoid going 2-0 down. They've got the tools to be able to retake with here at eUnited. It's going to require some big plays. Particularly, I'm looking to Logix, because the last time they played in the upper bracket final, this man was a monster. And so far, we haven't seen too much from him compared to the other players. Oh, the boop off the edge from Dante. He's going to fall to his death when he had the Transcendence up. Colsty also falling. Morte is a fragging machine at the moment.
He's been able to come through, and I mean, those Lucio changes didn't do maybe a whole lot for that situation, but I mean, that extra little bit of damage, that extra little bit of boot pressure as well. I mean, eUnited taking advantage of that. Morte really doing a good job of securing that fight for his team, and now it's going to come down to potentially one last fight with eUnited up 1-0 at the moment. They could very well find themselves up 2, and Swoosh coming through with that Dragon Blade has that sound barrier as well. Unfixed finally finds that kill, but it's late, as they have already found so much momentum to start this fight out, and Unfixed coming alive, man, trying to find some more, but does actually drop out, and that's going to be, once again, Movistar Riders securing this objective, sitting now at 40%. They are still, again, looking at an uphill battle to get back into this one.
Swoosh got so much value out of his Dragon Blade there. He was able to push that forward. Obviously, doesn't have a nano boost to be able to complement it with, but got right into the thick of things with 3 of them right there. Oh, that pulse bomb just whiffed from Logix. Not going to be able to find it. This is potential for eUnited to come back in. They've got the Transcendence. Cruz pretty close to his Dragon Blade as well. Doesn't even need it as he zips through Colsty, sending him to the respawn queue. Tactical Visor used from Finzi, but we'll see what he can manage to pick off. They are turning this fight, actually. Cruz hasn't been in a position to really pull out his Dragon Blade. And do you really want to do it when there's only 3 of you left alive? They haven't been able to flip the point either, and Movistar Riders, they hold on.
Somehow. I mean, Movistar Riders have been really strong with their ability to just, you know, get back, play reactively, as we talked about, especially on this point in particular, and just pull back and be able to regain control on the point after losing initially. And that's going to put them in a position now where things are going to get very interesting, as it's going to be this last fight to determine who secures this. Cruz with the Dragon Blade ready. Expect him to pull that out. He's going to be looking for some kills, but he's going to be taken down pretty low. His deflect is already down. He's going to have to go straight for the bridge. Already finds a kill at the Neptuno, though. Looking for one on Finzi, but he's backed up, as again, that deflect is down, and it's going to be Logix looking for that kill. So he only finds the one with the Dragon Blade, and we do see Unfixed coming out with his. Swoosh going to be denied as he pulls out his ultimate right into the Tactical Visor, and it's going to be eUnited closing things here, as Dante going to be the only one alive. Overtime ticking down, and Neptuno not able to make it quite over that quite fine there, and that's going to be 2-0 in favor of eUnited now. Very close matches so far, but in overtime we do see them winning out.
Yeah, the Garden stage was the stage that I thought they would be able to take, if any, but so far they've just looked on fire. They've also been shutting down targets on Movistar really effectively. As I said, yesterday Logix was coming alive, and Finzi had so many clutch shutdowns on Valuetaja. We simply haven't seen that from either of them in terms of those that specific impact. They've both been playing well, but they haven't been playing on fire and also getting the shutdowns on the United players that we saw from them that won them the series essentially yesterday 3-0. Both teams going with triple DPS on the control center. That's the composition that we've been seeing teams have the most success with here anyway. See if there's a fight for the high ground as well.
Yeah, Cruz mentioned yesterday that he had some of the best games of his life, and I have to agree, but or at least on Genji there. But, you know, today I think a big factor is that Valuetaja, who was okay in the series against Movistar Riders, is certainly looking fantastic today, and Unfixed has been an absolute monster throughout this series, and he's been able to find a ton of kills, really kind of being very lethal for the side of eUnited, and that's been really kind of made all the difference. And now at the front line, Colsty should be able to be taken out as Cruz finds that one, and they're going to be backing the rest of Movistar Riders up. And with that kill, I mean, really, they set a precedence for control on this point, where, you know, obviously Movistar Riders with no tank are going to be taken out here very slowly, as we do see eUnited's kind of folding onto them one by one, and that's going to be eUnited again here with some early control. They're already up 2-0, looking very poised to take the third.
And what a reply that would be on Li Jiang, which was their map pick, of course, but was a map that we said would have a lot of question marks about it, and certainly those questions for the most part have been answered by eUnited. They're finding it so much easier to get the first blood in these fights as well. Really important when you're running these compositions, and it was Movistar getting them all the time when they were on Lijiang last time, when they played in the upper bracket final. And so far eUnited, especially Cruz and Unfix, have been able to find those first picks with way more consistency than we've seen from them previously. It's actually Valuetaja though. This is what we were on about, the Helix Rockets finding the shutdown on eUnited's Tracer player. And as both of the sound barriers reply, Rubicon also forced to use his Transcendence. They really want to stay in control.
Unfix pulling out the tack visor, swinging around that backside, should be able to find a lot of damage, but he actually gets most of that deflected. Cruz forced to pull out his Dragon Blade, and Swoosh going to be pulling his own, and it's going to be Cruz unable to find those kills, and it's going to actually seem like Movistar Riders going to be able to take this one and flip it back in their favor here, as they're going to be able to get the first points of the map on the board for themselves. But again, 60% on the board here for eUnited, and they have definitely been insanely good today here on Lijiang Tower.
They have. You gotta put that in context of them being 2-1 down in the series though at the moment. They absolutely have to win this map, and so far they've been coming out big, but there's potential for Movistar to still get back into it. On this stage in particular, they've got the Primal Rage advantage over the other team, and eUnited don't have that much to really engage with. If they can find the first pick, that'll be pivotal. Valuetaja with the stick on the Finzi, that's going to really help them, and they get the pick on the Dante. Valuetaja just coming alive.
And not only that, but he's in great position to deal with Swoosh. Swoosh taken down pretty low, doesn't have the deflect, should be taken down right there by the Tracer, and actually with a nice recall, Valuetaja going to be able to, teleported over. Logic's not able to steal away that health pack, so Valuetaja might be able to make it out. Oh, he still finds that kill. Logic's coming through, but they did lose him eventually as Unfixed finds that one, and now evening things up. Movistar Rider is going to be able to hit that 60% mark, and it's going to be Unfixed kind of charged with trying to find these kills from the back. Swoosh coming forward, trying to contest, has the Discord on him, does have the deflect ready as well, and a nice Helix Rocket. Finzi finds the kill onto Sharik, and I don't know, this could still go either way here, but without Sharik, I mean, certainly they're going to be slowed down a little bit, and Cruz now coming out with the Dragon Blade charged up. Swoosh with one of his own pretty soon. They're going to be aggressive here, as Neptuno did just fall, and Swoosh going to be taken down pretty low, and he did see the dash ready to go with Cruz, and he's just going to be jumping right in, and they deflect damage right into Dante, finding that kill. It's going to be eUnited just in a matter of time pulling this one out. 85% here for Movistar Riders.
This flip is huge though for eUnited, because this was on the brink of an ultimate battle for both teams, and yet they managed to take the point without actually having to use any. So neither team expends them, and when you're in this kind of situation, the advantage is for the defending team, definitely, because especially when you don't have that many insta-kill ultimates on the other side, so when they react into you, you've still got time to be able to pop out your own in defense, and you've got those two support ultimates that are like panic buttons, so they're going to be expending almost all of their ultimates here for both teams. Sound barrier used on both sides, both tranquilities used as well as they come in. Unfix the first to fall, but they've got it up to 95% Hurix.
Both soldiers dying off, but it's going to be eUnited actually coming through, and it looks like they're going to be the victors. Overtime is up right now, and they just have to deal with this Winston. Is he going to be able to last long enough to get respawns coming back in? Primal Rage comes out late. Very good timing, actually, by Kolsty, as he's going to be able to hold on just a little bit longer with this Discord up on top of him. Finds that health pack to be able to make that re-entry yet again. And we will see Sharik coming through and pressuring this backline, trying to find the kill onto Finzi, but Finzi finds one of his own, and he's now inside the barrier. We do see the pulse bomb coming out from Logic's, not going to be able to secure anything, and somehow eUnited, alongside Valuetaja, are able to find those kills in a 3-0. Somehow, eUnited pull out Lijiang Tower, and we are tied now 2-2. What a nail-biter.
Well, we weren't expecting that, were we? After the performance yesterday, it's night and day, the difference between what happened in those series. And I wouldn't be able to tell you the exact difference between the two sides, but it looked like individually they came alive and they had a much better plan of how to initiate in all of the team fights. I think a variety of different improvements on the side of eUnited allowed them to steal that one away. But even so, 3-0, that's a really dominating performance. They tie this up at 2-2.
Not really sure what even the... Okay, we're going to go to King's Row as the next map, actually, as it was just said there by Logix, and this is going to be where things get interesting, because typically, obviously, I mean, King's Row has been pretty strong for eUnited, but they haven't looked strong in the past couple days on that map, and Movistar Riders looked a lot better on it. But we didn't see, I don't think we saw these teams compete actually against each other on this particular map yesterday, and we did not actually, that was not one of the 3 maps. So this is going to, again, be kind of where things get interesting, where Kings Row, again, kind of a decent map for eUnited, but Movistar Riders obviously looking incredibly strong. I mean, who do you think has the advantage? This is the last map. This will determine things. We could very well see the tournament ending out on one of those overtime 0.1% ticks. We could very well see that.
That is definitely a possibility that those new patch rules could come into it. It's so important on hybrid. We were talking about it yesterday, but those rules are so punishing now for hybrid maps. It's not like the payload portion where you get the extra 1 minute no matter what. You know, if both teams manage to complete it, you get an extra minute plus whatever you had in the bank. So you're always able to set some kind of distance. And we saw that happen on Route 66. On Kings Row, if both of these teams manage to get to the end, but one team has an over a minute advantage, then that, or rather 1 minute compared to overtime, then the team who's attacking in the second round of time bank just has to get 0.1% on that first checkpoint for them to be able to steal the map. That's an incredible ask for the defensive team, and it makes these situations so tense because you have to keep bodies on the point. You're constantly like giving up your own positional advantage to be able to throw yourself on there. It makes for some crazy situations, this new addition to the game, and also far less draws, so it makes it very unlikely that we'll be going to a tiebreaker map of Oasis, but still theoretically possible here. In terms of Kings Row though, Hurix, we've only seen this in the tournament once, actually, from Movistar Riders, and that was a crushing defeat of VV's Adventure. But apart from that, we haven't seen pretty much anything from them. And although they have looked really strong in general, eUnited, I feel like they should be able to do it. They should be a favored team on this map, but I don't think I can actually give it to them. I think recently the performances we've seen on Kings Row have been less clean from them. They've definitely been stalled by a lot of teams and have looked like they haven't quite been able to get things going. They've actually been favoring tanks, particularly when they were playing over against Dignitas. They were favoring this more ultimate chain kind of offense and defense rather than their triple DPS. I'm interested to see what's coming up here. How do you feel about this?
I still think this is going to be a nail-biter. I think we're going to see this go into overtime. Just to give everybody a little heads up on where we are right now. Again, if you're just joining us, you are watching the Overwatch PIT Championships. We are in the EU playoffs. This is the grand finals between eUnited and Movistar Riders. You can see here how the teams have progressed. And we are tied up at 2-2 as we jump into Kings Row here. And again, I mean, you just heard it from Sideshow, how so many layers of complexity are being added into this game, where, I mean, there's just so many different dynamics going into this that this could really go. I mean, I think this could go either way. I mean, certainly Movistar Riders looking very strong, but historically this has been a strong map for eUnited, certainly throughout the group stage, but looking a little bit less so now. But today I think this has been largely a new eUnited. I mean, they look reformed since the last time that we saw these two teams competing, and certainly the scoreline does show that as well. But on the defensive side, I imagine we're going to be seeing that dive style, but we'll have to see. I mean, Colsty is on a Reinhardt currently, but he does jump over to that Wednesday, and actually changes as well. So that dive composition coming through, and this, like I said, this could very well go into overtime. I definitely expect it to, and I think it's going to be one of those situations where I think it's going to end on a tick, man.
It absolutely could. It genuinely could, because both of these teams have looked far better on their attack rather than their defense, but particularly eUnited. If we think back to Route 66, they almost put up no fight on the defense until it got to the final stage of the warehouse. But other than that, they were kind of rolled over. Movistar looking so effortless on the attack. So while I expect eUnited to be pretty good here, it could all be decided in the next round. It's a lot of pressure on eUnited to set a good time.
Yeah, and I think it actually does tend to be, you know, these compositions here with the dives. I mean, certainly kind of lends to the fact that other teams are able to push. It's just about stealing time away and trying to shut them down a little bit. But look at this, eUnited already able to find a kill onto Neptuno. So that's the buffed Lucio taken out of the fight. Cruz coming through, and look at this. They are clinical with this one, jumping all over these guys. And they're able to find yet another couple of kills as you just see the rockets coming at the same time as Cruz dashing through. Very, very, very good time set to be able to push this first objective, and eUnited definitely looking like they will be able to take this all the way through, dominant on the first point.
Exactly what they needed. That's perfect from eUnited. Unfixed actually put a lot of pressure on Dante at the beginning when he was playing up top on the corridor, and he had to back off and use the biotic grenade on himself, so they knew that cooldown was there, and there was no saving players from the, Dante couldn't save anybody on the Ana. So with all of that healing taken out of the situation, just by the pressure from Unfixed, they're able to find another couple of picks, and now they've got a couple of ultimates starting to charge, and another fight happening here in the Arch.
And they're going to contest it on the archway, and they haven't found anything quite yet, but they are looking healthy at the moment. Cruz looking for a couple kills, taken down kind of low, but is going to be able to get the healing from the Lucio. And Pulse Bomb coming out there. Valataja looking for one. Cruz finding a kill onto Colsty. They're going to have that room to work with now. Discord coming out onto Swoosh, but he's going to be safe now for the time being, and Transcendence actually forced out by Rubicon as they're looking to try to contest a little bit longer. Again, that composition is perfect for it, but eUnited, they're actually able to pull through, and they do manage to hold on to a lot of their ultimates in the process, pushing through the second stage of the map. They have over 4.5 minutes to work with. There will be one more contest before the second objective pulls through, and if Movistar Riders doesn't clutch that one out, they're going to be in a horrible, horrible state.
I like this positioning from eUnited, putting a lot of pressure on really early, and that might force ultimates out in a bad situation for them. Oh, look how far deeply these sound barriers are going to be pushed out. Morte and Cruz both fall to Swoosh's Dragon Blade and Finzi's Tactical Visor, but a lot of these ultimates used really far back. They're going to be able to take control of the point though, and in the end, eUnited's aggression not able to come out with the goods. I think their disengage was not quite there. They definitely wanted to force out the ultimates and did, but I think they were banking on the fact they'd be able to get back to the point and have a fight happening around the payload, and just got cleaned up too quickly by Movistar.
And now on top of that, Movistar with a little bit of an advantage as they have that Primal Rage to kind of contest the point with a little bit and give space to guys like Finzi and certainly Dante as well. But now pushing forward, Movistar Riders going to be utilizing Colsty as that basically mobile shield there, as he's going to be able to pull out that Primal Rage as discussed before. And Unfixed actually getting taken down pretty low. He needs some healing before he can get aggressive. And it's going to be Logix and Finzi definitely putting in a lot of work here. Valataja with a Pulse Bomb onto Finzi. He's going to open things up for Unfixed, but he didn't get any heals, so Swoosh able to take him out. And now he's going to be getting aggressive. Rubicon with that kill, though, as he fires back with 2. Colsty taken out as well, and they have a great shot now at closing this one out, as Swoosh and Colsty are both out of the fight. So both of the space creators on the side of Movistar Riders have been eliminated. And this is pushing through. We will see the contest more than likely from Movistar Riders because they're just so far up here, and I don't think that they have time to disengage, but
Nano Boost used onto Logix as he's into the back line, forces out the Transcendence as well, but Valataja is still getting more out of his just solo play than Logix is, and he's tearing a train through these back lines. Unfixed picking up 2 for the end here. Logix finds a kill onto Rubicon, but the 2 players, in my opinion, that are really on fire at the moment are Rubicon and Valataja, because Valataja's he's essentially going 1v3 in the back lines of Movistar and causing so much distraction, and then Rubicon's destroying them as well.
And we do see eUnited adapting to what happened yesterday, where we saw Zarya come out late, but this time they're going to do it very early on. Valataja actually swapping off of the Tracer. He's going over to the Soldier. They bring out the Zarya early on, and they have a lot of time to work with still. And I like this. I mean, eUnited definitely looking like they have learned their lessons here on King's Row, and not only making it to this last stage of the map with good timing, they're also pulling out the things that they need to make this last section work in their favor. And now they're going to have a couple of options with those barriers being placed out as well. Unfixed might be able to get that high energy, but he's not able to get it quite yet, as we do see Cruz pulling out a Dragon Blade right after Swoosh is falling out. And now Cruz with a great amount of opportunity here to push through, and Finzi with the Nano Visor actually pulling out, and not going to have any value at all. And Cruz going to be able to contest that, and he's going to be pushing forward, finding that kill, as Valataja helps him there as well. And eUnited definitely looking poised to take this fight here.
All of the ultimates buying a lot of time on the board for Movistar, but not actually winning the fight. And now they've got themselves in a situation where Unfixed is still trying to take up his Graviton. To be fair, he hasn't charged it that quickly. He hasn't been at high enough energy and putting out the damage because of all of the pressure coming out from Movistar, but it's going to happen at some point, and Sharik's starting to get close to his Earth Shatter as well. Could happen within the next fight if it's extended and long. They've actually made changes on the other side, going over to a triple tank composition to fight this final area. They want more HP on the board.
And they have that Lucio as well, and if he goes forward onto these tanks, I mean, obviously he's going to be A little bit afraid of some of the damage that could come out, but we will see Velotaja pulling out that Nano Visor, looking for some kills. They find one onto Finzi. That's a big pickup. They find the Pillar Tank as well, and that's going to be Colsey taken down. The main healer, Dante, Swoosh taken out. That's going to be eUnited wiping the floor with Movistar Riders. 2:03 on the clock as they find that third point, and they look very, very strong on their attack. Now, their defense is what was historically lacking, and Movistar Riders obviously looking very good on their attack as well, so we'll have to see what they can do here, and the performance with this attack will certainly determine what will occur in overtime, if it even gets to that point. But again, it could very well turn into one of those situations where that new ruling could determine the winner here. I mean, it'll just depend. I mean, first point went pretty quick, though, for eUnited, so perhaps not, given the time that they have as well. Certainly, if they can take it into overtime, they'll be in a great position, but defensively, they have kind of been lacking a little bit in the past, but maybe they make a great play here.
They definitely have. I don't think it's unreasonable to say that eUnited crumbled on Route 66 for sure, and have done previously on King's Row. Their defenses have not been their strongest point, but their offense today has been fantastic. On Route 66, it was really good. We saw the same kind of adaptation where they get to the warehouse stage. Kind of plays similar to the end of King's Row as well. The foundry is pretty similar to the warehouse, and they make the changeover. Sharek goes to the Reinhardt, Unfixed to the Zarya as well, and they try and push it forwards. If they need to, they've got a lot more health and a lot more ability just to grind out the push in those enclosed spaces, and if they need to, they have those huge CC ultimates as well. Didn't even have to pull them out, to be fair, at the end of King's Row here, as they set a lightning fast time, 2 minutes and 3 seconds still on the clock. But this defense has been what's been bad for them. Nevertheless, as long as they get the time on the board with their attack, which they have done, they're still in a decent position, because even if you get completely smashed, it's not going to be that much different to the time that they set on the board. So any kind of defense that they can put up here is going to be good for them. If they can manage to keep Sharek and Unfixed alive and win this first point, get ultimates on the board even, then they're in a great position.
Now with the Zarya in the defense, this is kind of uncharacteristic of eUnited so far in this tournament, but trying to make some changes that will help them out as they pull out to this 2-tank strat. Sharek and Unfixed on that Reinhardt and the Zarya, and Unfixed looking to get a little bit of charge to have a lot of value against Swoosh there. Even when he goes for that deflect, he will be able to find that damage, just burning him alive, and definitely looking for some opportunities to go ahead with the Graviton, which again, versus the dive, can be spotty due to the fact that with this map in particular, especially on this first point, they can kind of take advantage of the geometry and kind of scatter out and not find too many people dying out inside of that Graviton and just winning from there. But we'll have to see as things are still kind of waiting to open up, and we do see Colsey on the point, Shark backed up, and finally that projected barrier going to be able to save him from Unfixed, but both barriers going out, and he's only at 40 charge here, so not a lot of damage that he's going to have pushing forward, but ultimately Velotaja with a nice kill on the Dante, and that's Cruz coming through as well. And they're going to send these guys back, so very slow pace here by Movistar Riders.
They had Finzi and Logic set up in really nice positions in the top corridor, and it didn't look like anyone was going to contest him, and suddenly Cruz just launches straight up there and obliterates Finzi, just wipes him off the face of the earth, and that was their setup utterly denied. So now they need to pick out another player, possibly get the dive onto Unfix. He's playing a very supportive Zarya, not trying to get the damage out, just making sure that Sharek's able to survive in a lot of these situations with the bubbles. So maybe the Zarya is the best player to be able to get the dive onto here, but so far they're not finding success with anybody.
Logic's right now looking for that pulse bomb setup. Velotaja has one of his own, but Logic's need to be setting the pace on the attack here. I mean, they need to be finding these first kills. They're waiting too long to engage, and because of that, we're seeing Velotaja with enough time to actually find these kills himself. He gets taken out, so certainly Movistar Riders with an opportunity here, as Logic is still holding onto that pulse bomb. Swoosh comes through with the Dragon Blade, Sound Barrier coming out as well, and they're all over the place. Cruz is nano-bladed up, but not finding anything. He finally finds the kill on Swoosh, but it's incredibly late. Finzi with the Tac Visor coming out gets slept, but he's still able to pull out a little bit of damage. And we do see Dante coming through as well with the Transcendence. They're on the point. They're going to try to wipe out Velotaja. Morte on the point as well, as the projected barrier saves him for the time being. Velotaja does get killed off inside that statue. And Movistar Riders very slowly but surely getting the capture, gaining control of the node, and Cruz should be able to contest Finzi here, gets him down to 120 HP, but that is going to be him backing up onto the point. Cruz trying to jump on, and Dante with an insane pick onto Unfixed, and it's Movistar Riders closing things out. They finally here get control of that first objective. Now going forward to try to see if they can get some more picks.
they have to stick to this composition as well, eUnited, because they're so close to all of these huge ultimates, or they have them. But the pressure that they're going to be under means that they're probably going to have to pop them just like around the second checkpoint. Valitasha's already been chased down. They've got the Graviton and the Earth Shatter to work with. If that fight had gone on for another 5 seconds, then Unfix would have been able to land the mightiest of Gravitons, and Sharik would have been back in the fight. Unfix was pushing forwards, but he had his cooldowns active for protected barriers and just wasn't able to keep himself alive in that situation. The fight had to be won there for Movistar, otherwise they were probably going to lose it to the ultimates. But now they're applying so much pressure that how do you get good value out of these huge ults when you're at a height disadvantage, you can't find players all grouped up? This is really difficult for Unfix and Sharik.
Unfix definitely wants some more energy going into this. Swoosh already with a nice pick on the Cruise and a Pulse Bomb coming out. That's going to shut down Sharik, and Movistar Riders are going to take advantage of that, find the kill on Rubicon, and that will be a final one onto Valitaja as they're pushing yet again. This looks a lot like that second stage we saw from eUnited, just a little bit less time to work with. And Swoosh holding on to that Dragon Blade as well as Finzi with that Tac Visor. They're ready to pull those out, of course, and Rubicon now with the Nano Boost ready to be thrown at someone for that Graviton, and they haven't found too much value with that. He's been holding on to this for the past 2 fights, and Swoosh starting things off with the Dragon Blade. Finzi coming through with the Tac Visor as well. They're using both. He gets slept, actually. Sound Barrier coming out, so a lot from Movistar Riders being used here. If somehow eUnited pulls out with this one, which is not looking like it's going to be the case, then, man, they're going to be able to battle back, and they're going to be at an advantage going into this next fight. But they still have to win this one out. Colsey somehow manages to get his ultimate before dying off, and they do actually find a couple kills, and he's pushing this right hard into the corner. Poor Sharik is going to be murdered in that little corner and bullied it there as well. Second point for Movistar Riders secured with 3:25 to spare here.
They absolutely outplayed eUnited in terms of the ultimates used there. They used the Dragon Blade in. Sharik misses his Earth Shatter, which could have been huge. He was aiming just to shut down Swoosh completely, but whiffed it. Unfixed immediately picked from pressure from Swoosh and Logix, so his Graviton's completely out of the fight. Now it's coming back in though. They get a couple of players. Bionic Grenade goes onto them as well, and they're going to find the picks onto Finzi and Colsey. They get a team fight victory out of that ultimate. I'm wondering whether Unfixed actually wants to stick onto the Zarya. At the moment, they're running the Ana kind of classic dive with the Winston Zarya, but Unfixed hasn't looked particularly good on it, and has been put under a huge amount of pressure, unable to charge it. I mean, that's his first Graviton the whole game, and that's what he gets out of it, so I think that says it all. So maybe he'll switch over onto a different hero, but for now, sticking to it.
He's been denied a lot of energy as well. He really hasn't been high energy throughout this game, and because of that, he hasn't been able to generate a lot of ult pressure as well. I mean, he really held on to that last one for quite a long time, but now we do see Colsey slept, trying to get back over to the point to try to get some heals from his Zenyatta, and actually does manage to get some. Unfixed not able to find that kill. If he was high energy, he would have been able to find that, but Finzi as well as Swoosh, both with their ultimates, and again, they like to use those in tandem for the most part, and typically Tuno following suit with a Sound Barrier, so they have a lot of ability to wipe these fights pretty cleanly with just...
Look at that, Hurix. Unfixed switches off when he had 50% of his Graviton as well, when they've already set a better time here at eUnited. They've managed to delay Movistar as much as they can, but coming into this one, he's now on Soldier.
Uh-oh, and we do see Swoosh finding that kill very, very easily, very quickly as well, and it's going to be Cruz holding on to this one. Valitaja finding kill, Sound Barrier coming out, Neptuno close to his though, and Colsey now in the Primal Rage, trying to look for something, and should be able to find Swoosh maybe, and Cruz actually going to be taken out again. But man, it's back and forth yet again. It looks like we are going to be seeing Movistar Riders come out ahead, but again, a very much slower pace here. And we have to remember how this map works now with the way that the time bank is. I mean, it could very well go to that tick setting where, I mean, if you don't have the extra time to try to get more control on that first point, you could definitely be losing just to that. Morte now just jumping in. They're just trying to stagger.
Shark's
They're just trying to get these guys out.
As well. Shark's got the Primal Rage. Oh, he gets absolutely melted there. That was really nice focus fire. And it is eventually going to be Movistar with a minute on the clock. Playing against 2 minutes, though. Whew, that's a fairly large difference, actually, in terms of time remaining. And 1 minute left, plays 2 minutes. We're down to this tick system as well. I think that is actually a pretty big advantage with the way that the rules have now changed with competitive mode and capture points. I think eUnited have set themselves up for a pretty nice situation, because the defending team here, what do you prioritize? I mean, in this situation, they're obviously just going to prioritize holding on the point and trying to lock it out as much as possible. But when it flips over the other way and they've got 2 minutes, do you try and just lock them off and sacrifice your position and play on the point for as long as possible? Or do you just try and win the fight? It becomes a really high-pressure situation for the defending team.
I would say for the first defense, in my opinion, what I would do is I would play it normally. Try to get the lockout. I mean, it's only a minute. So really, with the pace that we saw Movistar going with the first time around, if they win one fight, they're going to be in a pretty good spot to just carry the momentum into the second one, and they might be able to get a lockout. It doesn't matter how much percentage they give away, because with 204 in their time bank, they should be able to steal that away. As long as they don't give this first point away, I think eUnited should be in a pretty good spot to take this map. But they're going to have to make sure that they don't give that away. And if they just stand on the point and give Movistar Riders a great opportunity to just jump in and take advantage of the fact that they're all clustered, especially with Swoosh in the sky here on the Pharah, it's going to be rough for them. But starting things off here, Swoosh again on that Pharah, looking for some early picks and already getting these guys down pretty low. Sherrick going to be able to find that first kill on the Logix. That's going to slow them down a little bit, but certainly Movistar Riders looking to try to stay in this one for the time being. And looking at Unfixed, he's going to want to be at high energy. Definitely a lot more than what we saw the first time around. And again, backing off the point, United trying to make that play to make the first point hold. They don't even care about this so far. 3% for Movistar Riders to start things off.
Sherrick has been giving up a little bit of position just to keep his toes on the point in that corner around the post box where he's been playing, but in general, this has been good for them. And when they were playing the previous round of defense, they found a lot of success here. They're close to the nano boost as well, and this sound barrier ultimate's going to start coming into play. But they haven't really generated them on Movistar, and that's how they ended up winning the previous fight. Here comes the nano Reinhardt. See if he can get the pin onto anyone. The boom, the pulse bomb, he's going to be taken out. Sherrick falls, and so does Morte. Dante has his transcendence up there, getting all of the picks, and suddenly it looks so bad for eUnited. It's going to be stolen away from them in the final seconds.
They had no ability to contest Finzi at all. Valataja went over there, but you know, Finzi just had too much support, was able to jump down, and Dante with a nice kill at the very end there to secure things. And now it's going to go into overtime, and anything that they get in this particular setting is certainly going to be really good for them, obviously. But if they can make it around, not the archway, but just right in front of that bar area, I think they might actually be in a pretty good spot to win this one, because, I mean, Unfixed right now doesn't have any energy. He's going to be able to get his Graviton maybe soon, but Rubicon already put out his Nano Boost, Morte already took out his Sound Barrier, and Finzi has his Tac Visor here.
Ultimate's going to be incredibly pivotal. Pulse Bomb comes out onto Neptuno. Logic's already fallen. They're starting to apply pressure onto Movistar Riders. Oh! There's another shadow as well, but doesn't hit anybody. Sherrick's being kept alive, but Swoosh still in the air, uncontested. Rubicon falls as a result of that. Neptuno's going to have his sound barrier when he gets into the fight. He's starting to speed boost the rest of his team towards it, and Movistar, with some huge orbs by Dante, are starting to get the better end of this one, and this card is going to keep on rolling.
And this is that spot that I was mentioning before. If they can get it to this stage, they're going to be in a great spot. I mean, even with 204 on the time bank, and considering how well eUnited was looking, it's really only going to come down to Movistar Riders at this stage. All they have to really do is win one fight in the second stage of the map, and they'll be able to close it out. Anything more that they get on their attacking side is just giving them more of a buffer, more opportunities to make holds. Swoosh again, kind of uncontested. They aren't switching their composition at all. I mean, Unfixed with the Graviton, he's going to come through. Barrage going to come out. They find 3 kills, and they're going to battle through this one as well. Nano Boost coming out, and that's onto Unfixed, I believe, as he's going through, trying to find some kills himself, but that's not going to do much as Logix comes and finds the pick there on McCree, as he made that swap earlier. And in overtime, they have 5 points here, still pushing this one through, and this should at least make it to that first bend, as we won't see eUnited in a position to contest quite yet.
This is a disaster for eUnited. We said that their defense had fallen to pieces in previous maps. It looked so good when they'd done it before. They managed to set a better time on the board. But this, in overtime, really? After they had a Nano Blade and a Graviton in the previous fight, and Movistar are outplaying them completely. Cruz now pulling out his Dragon Blade that got refunded partially in the previous fight. Sound barrier as well is going to give them opportunity to hold on, but here comes the Transcendence. Are they going to be able to finally end it here? Looks like they're getting the better end. Big Cruz finally coming alive from the end of his Dragon Strike. There's the Neptuno kill as well. Surely Finzi, the last man in any kind of position. But what a pace that Movistar have set.
They have stolen that away. I mean, it was looking like eUnited was going to be able to make that first hold, and that would have been obviously really huge for them because they would have been able to just jump in, you know, get as many ticks as they were required to get and be able to close this out and be the victors, and certainly a great showing from Movistar Riders, but eUnited probably coming away with a win that people would have expected at the beginning. But now, with Movistar Riders coming through and again, just literally thieving away so much distance on that payload and the first point along with it, of course, it looks like we're going to have the tournament upset of the year, certainly in EU, as we haven't seen any other tournaments, but it'll be hard to outpace this one because, I mean, Movistar Riders coming through with a victory in the Overwatch PIT EU Championship will be monumental. I mean, monumental. And now we see them on the defense. We see Colsey actually coming out on a Diva as opposed to the standard Winston that we typically see. And we'll have to see what kind of difference this makes from them because, again, they have 204 that they have to contend with on their defense, but it really will come down to just a single hold in that second stage or even potentially the third stage of the map to be able to close this out. I mean, it's going to take a while for eUnited to get to the point where they were able to push in overtime, so really kind of setting themselves up nicely so far.
Yeah, coming into this tournament, I would have said the Movistar Riders were the 4th or 5th best team here, but they have just performed amazingly. eUnited up against the ropes. We'll see what they can do with 2 minutes. Previously, when they were in regulation time, their attack on point A was excellent. Colsey, though, has moved over to the Diva, giving them a bit more mobility to work with, seeing if they can shut down possibly Unfixed, who's on the Farah. That was a big problem for them last time. See what damage he can get out, getting a couple of rockets onto the players who are playing in corridor. But for now, eUnited, oh, they get that first pick actually onto Logix. Can they snowball it forwards?
They have to do it quick because Logix should be able to make it back pretty fast, and they're going to have to execute very, very effectively to make this work in their favor. And again, Unfixed just sending rockets into that back corner, and that's going to work out well for them. Shark with another kill. That's onto Swoosh. That'll be big for them. Unfixed coming through that tunnel. They find the kill on Neptuno, and now they just need to back Colsey off and get him out of that mech. He's down very low. Discord comes on, secures the D mech, and they're back onto this point. Rubicon coming alive actually on the kill feed, and they knock Finzi down, and 3 rockets in a row for Unfixed, and they're going to secure this point off of that. We might see the contest. Actually, it is going to be Movistar Riders pulling back, but Unfixed on the Farah. Man, what a monster so far to be able to come through for his team and secure that first point. And now they have 40 seconds, so it will be an overtime that they have to continue this, and it basically will come down to if at any point Movistar Riders win a fight before this match is over, that'll be that. They should be able to make the hold.
It seems like such a difficult situation for eUnited to be in there. They use the barrage at the same time as the Transcendence, seeing if they can get the wipe on these players. Showing so aggressive for the defense of Movistar Riders. They know that they can win any of these team fights and still be able to take the map. So they're trying to see if they can pull it out just right at the beginning, denying us as much space as they possibly can. See if they can get it into overtime in any portion of the street space. This is going to go into overtime just around the arch area as well. Ultimate's starting to come up for Movistar as well. Quite a power deficit here, to be honest. Sound barriers for both teams. Dante's got the advantage of the nano boost, though. That could be all the difference that they need. They can hold it anywhere here. The options are so open for Movistar.
But on top of that, Cruz and Morte have their ultimates ready. Shark going to be able to have that Primal Rage to just contest, and Valtaja could make a pick. I mean, if your stomach isn't in knots right now, I don't know what game you're watching at all, because it isn't the one I'm watching. And we do see Swoosh coming out, Nano Blade coming through. He's looking for some kills. Not going to be able to find anything initially. Won't find anything onto Unfixed at all. He actually gets Bionic Grenaded as Cruz comes through, finds one of his own with the Dragon Blade, forced off a little bit, and Colsey taken down low. eUnited looking like they're going to be able to push through this one. And again, really, they only need one fight here for Movistar Riders, and they're battling back into this one. We saw it on King of the Hill, where they were able to get control once again. It's just Logix on the point here. If they are able to somehow find this kill, they will be back in this. Shark taken out as well. Somehow.
They're coming in with their spawners, Skurix. They're coming in. They're trying to clutch it. There's only Valitaja left on the card. How did they manage to pull this one around? He's slipping around. They're choking. They can't quite find the kill onto him. He's been hacked, though, by the Sombra. So close, but that is going to be it. Movistar Riders take the tournament off the back of a ridiculous map on Kings Row. What about that?
Somehow. I mean, you're talking about two of the closest matches I've seen in the EU scene for So long. I can't even remember the last time we've seen matches this close. I mean, we're talking about ending against Dignitas in a 2-2 set, on 2-2 on Nepal as well, finishing out to be able to round 5, game 5 as well, to be able to finish out against Dignitas in overtime. And then now we go into this one. It's 2-2 on the series. It's been back and forth throughout the day. And then on Kings Row in overtime, we see somehow Movistar Riders stealing away 5 points, 2 extra points, and some good distance to be able to close that one out. And it seemed like eUnited had that one in the bag to be able to push through that second objective and maybe another opportunity to push through, but denied by Movistar Riders' ability to just hold on against Swoosh, making huge plays. Logic's coming in as well. Valotaja with an excellent effort at the end. I mean, I haven't seen that kind of elusiveness on a Tracer in quite a while as well, just to be able to sustain himself for, I mean, what was it, like 10, 15 seconds that he was just by himself, jumping around on the point like crazy. I mean, absolutely crazy series, back and forth. And if we look right now at the standings, again, you guys are watching the conclusion of the EU playoffs here for the Overwatch PIT Championship. This was the grand finals. Movistar Riders, of course, taking it 3-2 against eUnited. The rematch from yesterday where we saw them beaten out 3-0. And man, what a series it was. Do you have any last final words here, Sideshow, before we sign off?
It's been a fantastic tournament for... I mean, both ends of it have been fantastic, both in Europe and North America, but I've certainly been enjoying the European portion, I think, a little more, just because I haven't seen too much of these teams. We haven't had too many tournaments in Europe, and it's nice to see just the level that these guys are at. Coming into it, if you hadn't seen any of the pit, you would think that kind of NIP, really well-known team, Misfits, obviously have been playing over in Korea. eUnited, there were rumblings that they were going to be fantastic, and they obviously have a lot of talent. They used to be a really top team. But Movistar Riders, Dignitas, these teams were not expected to be on the same level. And I think at the moment you have to say that the tier 1 teams in Europe have a lot of depth to them. And if we get any opportunity to see these guys competing on a world stage as well, that is going to be just a fantastic opportunity for them. Because there is talent in this particular scene, and the North American side has been amazing as well. Those games coming up later tonight are going to be just brilliant. There's been some weird, crazy upsets over in Pit NA as well.
Yeah, I mean, to see Liquid actually taking out Selfless yesterday was absolutely insane. And now that we're going to see that grand final coming up in just a few hours, I believe that's at the same time start as yesterday, which will be in 7 hours, if I'm not mistaken. And let me go ahead and check that for everybody just to make sure that that actually is going to be accurate. That is going to be the same time as yesterday. So that starts in... for you guys, 6 hours and 45 minutes exactly. With this 5-minute delay, I adjusted it for you this time, as yesterday I didn't. But nonetheless, that is going to be it for us. The EU playoffs for the Overwatch PIT Championship. The grand finals are over. Movistar Riders are your winners for EU, and now sitting atop the EU scene as the victors for the time being. We could see things shifting in the future. Hopefully we see some more EU tournaments. But obviously, thank you guys for watching. Thanks to Overwatch PIT for putting on this tournament. It's been a fantastic series so far. Definitely check out the NA side of things, as Rogue is going to take on Liquid. That should be a fantastic series. Again, that's going to be in about 6 hours and 45 minutes. I am at CT Hurix. Follow me on Twitter for more updates from me, as well as follow my boy Sideshow Gaming. Definitely loved casting with you today, and that's going to be it from us signing off here for the Overwatch PIT Championship. We'll see you guys in about 6 hours 45 minutes.